Alright, what is up everybody? It is AMSatellite and, well, we're back with another League of Legends stream, but this time we're only discussing, and I'm actually here with a lot of special people. So, let me just introduce you guys to everybody that you already know, because I talk about them all the fucking time. We have the pleasure of having MarineRevenge, also known as Moon Marooned, and,
Yo,
what's up, man? And AdamReformed, which you guys haven't heard talking before, I
Yep,
think.
what's up, guys?
He's actually the best Garen alive. He's Masters right now. And then we have Risti, all previously known as RistiuMMask.
Hi, how's it going, everybody?
And you must know him. You must know these people. And if you don't, then, I mean, it's a shame. Their links are on my channel, so click on those links. Because they post awesome content, and we all have different playstyles. So, you know, it's not a copy pasta. So what we're going for today is an AMA, which is essentially Ask Me Anything. We're answering some questions and trying to discuss about Garen's position and some of his misconceptions, because there's actually quite a few of those. Contrary to common belief, Garen is actually the opposite of simple when it comes to conceptions and that kind of stuff. So we're going to discuss a lot of these things today, trying to clear up the picture for everybody. And actually, we're going to discuss the Garen buffs that are currently on PBE. We feel like they're not perfect yet, so we're going to discuss about all of this, and you guys can ask us any questions you want. We'll try to be answering as quickly and as properly as we can. So, where do we want to start?
well, I guess we have to wait for questions to roll in, really. I mean,
Right, that sounds good for me.
the goal here really is we want to people who already play Garen already kind of know what's wrong with him,
Okay,
right?
I've got a question from Aldo Alejandro Hernandez on my stream. What are the buffs? So currently, Riot has current PBA changes. They have a minor Q buff. They're increasing the base damage at all ranks minus the first. So that's a straight up buff to Garen's damage from level 1 to level 9 if you max Q. And they're adding 10 more armor and magic resistance to W, so you can actually scale it from, instead of scaling up to 30, you can scale it up to 40, and it's going to take, I think it's going to take 40 more minions to do that, right?
Yep, so you need 160.
So these are the buffs, and since we're talking about this, I guess we could actually opt for, like, discussing the buffs and how they actually could change or not change Garen's current position. In the meta, I assume, we could say.
I mean, I think the Q buff is, significant. Especially since we are used to maxing Q already. I do think that is a step in the right direction. How they buffed Q, I mean, it's base damage. I know some of us think maybe it should have had a ratio buff instead.
Yeah.
Because,
I was open
you
to
want to
consideration. I mean, I play more tank Garen than you guys do, to be honest. So the base damage buff is perfectly fine for me, because I don't even build too many offensive items until late game where I get Steraks. So I guess they were targeting both tank Garen players and AD Garen players. That was my interpretation.
Yeah, the only problem I have with it for AD is it's not enough really to open up lethality again. So I don't think Ghostblade's going to be coming back as a first item, even with the damage buff.
Aldo actually asks, in what matchups do you max your Q? You always max Q. There is no matchup in which
Yeah, I just always max Q.
Yeah,
so.
always max Q.
Like, some people do it for wave clear, they max E, but I just think like you're just giving up all your trade potential doing that.
I agree with that. Like, the Q damage is just straight up damage. It's instant. It happens immediately, and it doesn't require you to open up to doesn't necessarily require you to open up to retaliation.
Well, yeah, it's just safer. You get a longer move speed duration as well. You can avoid ganks.
Yeah, actually escape a lot of ganks. Many times you can actually actually have enough time to silence and then run. You can actually do that as well, which is, pretty cool. And
having the damage front loaded.
I'm just gonna be honest. I'm max W versus Heimerdinger.
Really? Yeah, I've never maxed W.
I've tried maxing
it's
W
not him
second.
killing me. It's him getting his jungler to like tower die me in half health.
I can see why you would. I can see why you would do that. Like, his damage over time is actually incredible.
Yeah, but
It's
like
true.
then you're like forfeiting the lane already. You're like saying, well, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna kill him, so I'm just gonna max W and try and survive. But
Yeah, I wouldn't
don't
do
know.
it
I
either.
don't play like that, I suppose. So
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either, because then the one time you actually get an opportunity, you can't really use it without any damage into Q or E. I mean, E damage is negligible regardless of where you put your points, but got that going on.
I think, yeah, the way I see it, you either stomp lane or you coin flip the game. So
Yeah.
I don't play from behind really.
Yeah. So we got that. And then, honestly, I don't like the W buffs at all, especially considering, like, it's like, I would have liked them if they started with this, but since they were doing something different that was a lot better, I think the current change is not as good in comparison. And, we were gonna
Yeah,
say?
I think it's worse strictly because it doesn't do anything in early game or really even mid game.
It takes,
So
it just actually forces you to farm for more. It actually delays your power spike. It's like, if you're gonna go for the W max, for the stack max W, you're gonna have to actually waste more time away from the action, which is not necessarily a problem if you're gonna go for tri-gauge split push, but you know, it just doesn't work, in my opinion.
If they paired these buffs with quality of life adjustments for Garen, these would be a lot more acceptable. I mean, one of the issues I have, and this is definitely a common misconception, or maybe not even a misconception, but there is definitely something that people don't understand about Garen. I always have people coming to my lane and taking my CS, and they don't understand the concept that I have a stacking mechanic, which causes me to get bonus armor magic resistance, which also takes away from my farm, which also takes away from the fact that if I don't have enough W stacks, then of course I'm influenced to keep farming rather than group, depending on the game's. It's just that, like, if, for example, if you got a kill like Nasus, or you got a tower like Nasus, or you got a big jungle camp like Nasus, you get double stacks. I mean, Garen has a cap on his stacks. Nasus gets to stack infinitely. Why not get double W stacks for getting a champion kill or any of the aforementioned criteria? I mean, if they paired it with that, these new W buffs would be so much better.
Yeah, you could actually get to the cap much faster, potentially.
Yeah.
Like, it rewards you for playing well. I actually have another question from Anthony MRV. Will these buff influence the runes that go with Garen?
I don't
Honestly,
think so.
I don't think so. Like, Grasp
I've
and
tried
Conquer.
thinking about this. I really feel like if the stack gets raised to 40, late game conditioning will be much better, of course, because if you think of the implication, yeah, it's gonna buff 10 Garen a little bit, but that's pretty much the only synergy I can come up with.
What's conditioning? It's 5%, isn't it? Right, 5%
No, I
more
think
resist.
I think it's 5% for both buff for both resistances.
So what's that? It's 0.5 armor, 0.5 MR.
But it's still
The problem with the W stacks too is like Garen has no off roll really. I mean, we can make the argument that he can go either solo lane, but I would consider those to be relatively the same. He can't go jungle or bot lane effectively, and the main reason he can't go jungle, other than his poor clear time, is that he has this W stack that requirement that he has to meet, and he can't meet it properly in the jungle. Not in, like comparing his tankiness out of the jungle compared to a lane, he's like 30 or 40 stacks down at like 10 minutes compared to lane Garen.
So that's one more, like, sort of, we're forcing you into a specific position in the game, and there's no fantasy to apply there. I agree with that point.
Absolutely. You guys have a point, and you know, when I run my stream, I have so many people coming to my stream telling me their experiences with the Garen jungle. I have so many Garen mains on my stream who just want to jungle with Garen, and I constantly tell them how, okay, well, you can try doing it, but it's not going to be comparable to a solo lane because of the restrictions. Garen's passive until level 11, and then of course his W stack. If they did quality of life adjustments, so they had the double W stacks if you take your blue or red or dragon even, or if they even adjusted his passive to have like 50% or 25% effectiveness in the jungle until level 11, his clear would be so much better, and he would actually be able to work it.
Does anyone know why they even changed it to W stacks? doing the Juggernaut rework. Because you know, like before the Juggernaut rework, like years back, Garen used to have W stacks like now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. Like you're trying to make a bully, but like he has to farm. Like I don't know. He's just like counterintuitive. If you don't win lane, you just get set even further behind.
Well,
And like Garen's not even a bully now.
The change with Juggernaut was they didn't want Garen to have the bully potential. That's what I think they wanted to do with that. They didn't want the Juggernaut rework was meant to remove Garen and Darius from the bully position and make them late game
It does
scalers.
the opposite. Like it puts it even like it's just the opposite of bully. Like if you lose lane now, you lose even harder. If you're not CSing because Teemo's stopping you, you're getting even further behind.
And the problem with this actually goes with level as well, because your skills scale more with level than they do with the points. When you do something like that, then the champion has to win. You're building a champion that requires an advantage, but you know, deprive them of all the tools to get that advantage, essentially, from the early game, and that kind of makes it very, very hard to actually get a proper like snowball going on. We have a couple of questions, we have a couple of comments on the Reddit post. Hello fellow Garen mains, this is Fantasy is Justice, probably from the Garen Discord. For AD Garen Sterak might be getting nerfed in regards to synergy with Triforce according to Riot Meddler. What do you guys think might happen in regard to builds? Will Sterak still be good to still be standard second item for AD Garen, or will other items be coming into play instead?
Let's make sure we actually reply to the thread.
I mean,
So
I can explain it now if you want. Oh.
Yeah, I'm actually probably gonna I can take the answer, and honestly, let's discuss this a little bit, and then we actually write the answer that we come up with at the end. Personally, I think we should actually see what they want to do with Sterak before we say anything about it. Because like, if the new Sterak somehow actually synergizes with Garen, you might as well still get it second, you know?
Plus, like, they released a ton of new items. Like they say, Last Whisper will now scale on total armor, so like maybe that would be a good second item now. Even if there's no other new items that come out, a good build would still be like Triforce into Titanic Hydra.
We could take a guess and see what they're targeting with that item. I think what they're doing, or what I suspect they're going to do, is they're going to like cut down on the base damage amplification and possibly mix some AD in with it. I think that's what I'm getting in terms of a vibe from what they're implying. I was building Sterak before even the buffs, so AD Garen players may want to shift to a different item, but if the tenacity option and the shield option is still there, with also providing a good amount of health, I can suspect that I would still build it in my tank Garen builds. So it really comes down to the final numbers that is definitely going to swing the final judgment on this, of course. But I think that Sterak will still be an attractive item for Garen, maybe just built at a different time of the game.
I'm personally looking towards the crit changes, like the Marksman item changes, because since we do still have the crit mechanic, if Triforce is still a good rush and Sterak isn't a good second item, I might be going Triforce into Infinity Edge second, depending on how the Infinity Edge looks after the Marksman item changes.
It's pretty squishy though.
Okay. So
yeah, but you know how I ride.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to answer with a mixture of all these views. Like, it really would depend upon how Sterak gets changed, but in the same patch there will be other alternatives made available to Garen and other AD-based fighters and bruisers. Bit changes might actually influence such a decision too, but as long as the base stats, as the stats that the item provides stay good,
I mean,
I think it's probably it still will probably be viable.
I mean, you're saying if it doesn't buff Triforce, if it just had health and AD,
like if it wasn't health and base AD, maybe they changed the base AD into bonus AD. That's still a lot of AD for Garen, because it's like bonus AD scaling upon the base AD you have. Garen's got the third base AD in the game, so it still would give you something like 60 AD along with 400 HP. That's a lot of.
But then you're better off just building Titanic, because then you get more damage, but you just sacrifice the shield. You actually,
but you don't have the shield.
The
and don't get the tenacity, you know. So maybe it depends on what they add. They might add the tenacity on the item, you know. They might just make it permanent.
You don't need the tenacity though. Like the tenacity doesn't do anything, realistically.
True enough, though. I have to admit.
So many knockups anyway.
It depends on the context, though. When I'm engaging team fights late game with a fully maxed W and they're just piling on top of me, I'm getting out with that W tenacity and the Sterak proc. So it depends on the context for sure. I even have a clip of Panzer Dragon basically engaging on me with Warwick, ulting me first, then fearing me, and then because I just timed W correctly with the Sterak shield, because the entire team was focusing me at that point, the fear just held me down for like less than a millisecond, and then I was able to back off and my team basically flanked. So it does depend on the context. I definitely value the tenacity on Sterak, I think.
Yeah, me too. I like just being able to, like, Sterak procs when things get rough, and tenacity in those contexts is actually pretty useful. I think it's a big part of Sterak, even though true, tenacity doesn't do as well as before because everybody's got a knock up now. But I still like the stat overall. I think I have a question from Eduardo Felipe on the stream. Don't you think Garen needs a rework? He doesn't have group control or mobility and doesn't split well. I don't think Garen needs a rework, honestly, because Garen's bread and butter has never been to be an amazing team fighter or an amazing peeler or an amazing split pusher. Garen's always been the kind of bruiser that is capable of dealing with a single carry or output to AoE output. I don't think he's designed to be either of those things. So it doesn't matter that he doesn't have those things. I think that what matters is that Garen is able to be Garen, and right now Garen is not able to be Garen. So that's why I think Garen needs changes. But a rework, I think that's too high of a scale right now. Honestly.
It depends what you mean by rework, though. Because do you mean just make a whole new champion and call it Garen? Because I don't think so. Like,
yeah, that's one thing.
If you mean rework, like shorten the duration of his Q animation and R animation, then yeah, you could do it stuff like that.
Also,
hey,
we have.
Let me interrupt for 1 second. Can you edit the post and add our streams into it, just in case people want to watch it live?
Oh sure, I actually was dumb enough not to do that. Let me just do that. I can do it. Let's provide myself a link.
I'll link mine in your chat real quick.
Yeah, do that.
All right, it's in the private channel.
Mask.
RistiuM, are you streaming? Should we add yours too?
I'm not streaming at the moment. You can reframe. I'm
Okay.
I'm still on my bed at the moment.
Okay, come ask more questions here. And then
you know, it's funny that they want to buff Garen before addressing any of the bugs as well, like the spin bug and the Q bug.
Yeah, those are also some things that need to get some work.
Those are pretty major bugs.
The E-bug is actually very big.
Yeah, and the Q one's major in the right situations, like when you're against the right champs.
Here are the links. Save. Got it. Let's take a look at the post. We actually have some more comments coming around. Let me take a look. I can see you already handled the oh, okay, actually no, we have a Praetor Gavorn saying I'm still upset about the one time a legit lost lane to a Garen. Ridiculous brawling power for such a simple champ like the Warwick at top lane. And then Skeletoser from Discord actually answered that not sure what champion you were playing, but Garen isn't able to win lane easily into most matchups, at least not in top lane. Suffice to say, Garen isn't overpowered because he's not been meta for almost a decade. As far as comments go, that's pretty generic. If I were to say something about this, honestly, I think Garen does have a simple kit and his brawling potential is average. It's not that great. When you get, like, losing traits to Garen actually points to you making a mistake, because Garen's kit is a mistake-punishing kit. You know, overextending or taking the wrong step, CSing the wrong creep in the wrong position of the wave. That's the kind of thing that Garen does well at punishing. But it's not like Garen is just gonna run you over. Like a Garen that engages with Q, just out of the blue, will lose the trade unless you're not, you know, properly reacting to Garen attempting at an engage. So that's my take on that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like an elitist, but like I think it depends on elo as well. Like if you're in like a bronze, then Garen's gonna seem like this unstoppable monster that just decimates you. But when you get like above, or when you get high diamond, for example, like everyone just out trades you so easily.
Yeah. We actually have another question from Randy Marsh 18. Hi Garen mains, how do you think the new Marksman changes will affect Garen? Will it give him more room to carry, or will it punish AD Garen with the changes to Last Whisper? I think, personally, when it comes to Last Whisper, AD Garen doesn't really get that much armor. Percentage armor pen doesn't really work when you're not stacking it up. So I think that's not a big deal for AD Garen. Tank Garen will definitely suffer from Last Whisper being changed, but I mean, they're removing Lord Dominic's, so I don't think. I think
it's actually it's actually an indirect buff to AD Garen, because Garen has a lot of his armor as bonus armor from his W, so changing it to full armor pen isn't as big as like changing it to full armor pen for Darius.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
That was one of the things that always bothered me, actually, about the Last Whisper rework initially.
Yeah, it was just worse. Like, the item was just worse. It aimed at percentage damage instead of penetration. It just didn't work. We actually have another comment. I read somewhere that Riot didn't want, from Reskel. I read somewhere that Riot didn't want. Sorry?
Yeah, somebody removed the post?
Oh, they removed it? You mean the post or the comment?
Somebody in the thing, which is in my chat, said that they removed the post, and I refreshed, and the body of the post just says removed.
That's weird. I still see it. When I refresh, I still see it.
Yeah,
maybe
but
because you posted it.
Let me just do Shift F5. It's still there for me. Oh, it's still there for me, honestly.
No, it is definitely removed.
Oh.
What happened? Like,
that's weird.
All right, Marine, what did you do with the post, dog?
I didn't do anything with it.
Man, that's totally gonna have to be your fault, man.
I'm just kidding.
It isn't in the list.
Right. Why did I even delete it?
We might have broken a rule on Reddit. Some sort of rule we might have broke.
What rule did we break?
No, guys, you're not allowed to put your Twitch streams in it.
Oh, damn.
Or your streams in it, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do something. I can just copy the whole post and remake it.
Oh no, is that what we
you're
did?
not allowed to like advertise your stream.
That's a fine rule though.
My bad, dude.
That's fine, man. You see, I was actually outsmarting you, man, by forgetting to write the post link, the stream links. I was actually being a very fair man. You see, total justice right there. I'm just gonna repost it without the links.
Yeah, it should be fine. So I saw someone else do this as well. They just reposted it without the link.
It was unintentional anyway, so it's okay. I'm gonna just resend. That's fair though.
You can add your stream if someone asks.
Like, as far as I'm concerned,
we have to ask a mod.
I think it's fine as a rule, honestly. Let me just re-add the formatting because the copy paste kind of doesn't get that. We're gonna be back to answering questions in just a second here because I have a few questions on my stream chat as well. Hey.
Wow, dude, fuck! That just killed all of our momentum. Can we message the mod to have it unremoved?
I don't know. If you can do that a second while we start answering to some of the questions. The questions are starting to get a little clumped up on my chat, so we can start answering the questions and someone else can.
Tell people, link the AMA in your chat.
Yeah,
and tell people in your chat to ask the question in the thread.
If you guys got any questions. Like, I'm referring to the people on my stream. Ask your questions at this link. I've posted it here. I'm gonna post it in the description actually. Right there. Ask your questions there. I'll be answering them on the stream with the voice, so I'll be listening to you guys. But do answer your questions there. Do ask your questions there, because that way it shows up on the Reddit post and it's more complete. But in the meantime, we can start answering some. What?
Man, they could have just removed the links, couldn't they? They had to just delete the whole thing.
I think it was... Maybe it's automatic. Could be automatic. Be a bot doing it. I don't know. Either way, it's fine. Nothing we can do about it. If one of you guys can message the mods, we can do that.
I just messaged the mods. If the old link comes back, I'll let you know.
Yeah, thanks.
That's fucking bullshit. Like, excuse my language, but then like, come on, like, we're trying so hard.
Okay, so we have a question from Frost Caliber. Should Garen's ultimate be buffed or the villain mechanic changed. I feel like Garen's ult is weaker than Shogat's and Darius's ults, and the villain mechanic is too random to be consistently effective. It's actually kind of a hard question, because the four of us don't really agree exactly on what the problem is with villain and how to change that. So I think we can probably give our own take turn-based. So let's have Adam start. Like, Adam, what's your take on villain mechanic considering this question from Frostcalibur?
Well, I mean, very similar to what he said. Villain's too strong and base ult is not really very good. I don't know what you do with the villain mechanic, really. It's kind of a mess, in my opinion, but like, it's just too RNG based.
Okay, so I'm gonna write AdamReformed.
Like, if you want my opinion, I would remove it, but
Yeah.
they won't do that, so we just have to live with the villain mechanic. Maybe they can adjust it slightly.
Okay, what about you, Risti?
Okay, so I really feel like that the villain mechanic could definitely stay. I do agree with Marine how it could stay. You know, the iteration, it just needs to be refined a little bit. Like, the thing I don't agree with the most of the villain mechanics, yes, Garen has to sacrifice a huge portion of his power budget to make the villain mechanic work, and there are definitely qualities that we can't control, such as the support picking up the villain, and we're entering a late game team fight. I don't want to focus the support. I'd rather go for even the tank if I even have to bust up the tank. So I really feel like if there was, now I know Riot Games probably will never let us choose who the villain is. However, if they gave us even the option to pick from one or two, I mean, like 2 or 3 different targets, kind of like Kindred, but a little bit more controlled, I think that would be so much cooler. That way we can avoid picking the support 100% of the time late game, and we can always focus at least one of the carries, because at late game, when people are at 5 or 6 item builds, there is going to be someone always attractive to choose who that we can shut down at that point. That would be something I would love to see. Even if they would have to scrap some of the spin damage or the auto attack damage for that, I would gladly take that.
Can I just add something? You'd have to add a timer on it, by the way, because otherwise you just pick your lane opponent as the villain.
That would actually make sense. I would agree. I think it probably makes sense in that case. I think that iteration would require some sort of yeah, you get this chance, but you have to be fast, and you know, you can't fail. If you fail with this, you actually don't get the reward. And maybe
No, you'd have to, like, so you can't choose within the first 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, something like that maybe. Oh, actually, that's probably even better than what I was saying. And what about you, Marine? What do you think about this?
Sorry, I got really distracted because Supermova said unban me on Garen Main's Discord.
The classic, man.
Can you just repeat the question?
The question is, should Garen's ultimate be buffed or the villain mechanic changed? I feel like Garen's ult is weaker than Shogat's and Darius's, and the villain mechanic is too random to be consistently effective.
I mean, my opinion is when they added the villain mechanic, they didn't nerf the ultimate damage in any way. So it was a free damage buff to his R. And like the rework came with some other changes, but I think that the villain mechanic is a positive thing because it just allows us to have a target. Like Garen's issue is not having enough reliable damage, and I feel like the villain gives him one target that he can count on hurting if he in a team fight, if he has like no other options. And I think that that's positive. Maybe he's like unfairly hurt, you know, in terms of like power and the rest of his kit because of it. Like, I'm not exactly sure like what their stance on that is. But what I do think it's lacking is some kind of reward for killing the villain. I think most other characters that have a similar mechanic don't also get rewarded for fulfilling, like Darius gets a reset, or Fiora heals anybody standing in her AoE field, or Kindred gets permanent damage for the rest of the game. But Garen's not rewarded for killing his target. And since his is totally RNG, I feel like he should have the biggest reward out of all of them because he's the one that doesn't get to pick.
That actually makes sense, I have to say. As for me, I'm mixed about the villain mechanic. When Marine says that it's a straight up buff to the ult, that's true. That's absolutely true, and the fact that you can go through exhaust is actually great as well. when it comes to the actual consistency of the mechanic, I would very much prefer being weaker to some specific, you know, counters. Like, for example, Exhaust can be a counter to Garen's ult, Hex Drinker can be a counter to Garen's ult, and I see how the villain mechanic removes that problem. But I would actually prefer being more consistent so that when I actually ult someone, like, that yellow mark doesn't have to be there for me to actually be a threat. Like, I want to be a threat to everybody when, like, of course, not everybody, but at least the squishy people on the enemy team, if I get in range, they need to be at a threat. They have to be, they need to fear the fact that my silence is gonna get on them. And when they have when they can just purchase a single item, you know, when they can just have somebody else have the kills on their team, when they don't have the most kills, but yet they're, like, sometimes it happens, this happens. I'm gonna be the ADC, I'm a Caitlyn main, I'm playing Caitlyn, and I'm outputting huge amounts of damage, but that bastard Kayn steals all my kills. You know, that happens, that can happen. So if the enemy jungler, or the enemy mid laner, or someone who's not the main damage output source steals all the last hits, then the ADC won't be the villain, and I'll be basically unable to deal with the actual problem, you know? Like, the villain mechanic is meant to give us an opportunity to deal with a specific champion that's a problem to our team. But it doesn't do what's intended to do. It just gives you more damage against someone who happened to get some kills, and maybe isn't actually carrying the game. You know, that's what I think about the villain mechanic, and I think it can stay, but it has to change in nature. I am actually closer to what Risti thinks about the mechanic. It's fine that we don't get rewarded, but I would prefer to have more control and maybe make it a skill expression. Why not? Make it so that the right decision at the right time actually makes you win the game, or, you know, make a big difference when it comes to pressure.
If you guys want to reply to the thread,
I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now.
Feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now with all of our answers combined. You guys can start reading another question in the meantime while I write this?
Okay. So R.A. Samet in the thread says, what do you think? Q like Talon, R like Darius, only more uses with kills on levels of R, 1 use, 11, 2 uses, 16, 3 uses. So, like, proposing the idea that Garen could ult more than one target, I don't know if I think that would be fair, honestly.
Yeah, that's pretty imbalanced.
I agree. I don't think that would work. Like, Garen's ult scales off nothing. You don't have to get 5 stacks on someone. It's not a skill shot like Lux. Darius at least has to get a reset, and that's harder to do because it's not an execute, you know? It's flat true damage. So Darius actually has to not fuck up to get the reset. Garen kind of has it a little easier. You can just walk close to someone who's low, press R, and they die. There is no preparation or stacking up anything. It just is random. I think the reward can happen, but it shouldn't be a reset. Maybe CDR, maybe, but not a reset.
Take forever to cast as well. His ult's so slow. Imagine trying to cast 3 Garen ults. Like, I don't know. It seems so much slower than Darius' ult or Cho'Gath's ult.
I'm definitely more open to the ultimate rewarding, like Moon basically brought up. Like, if they want to, like, raise the cap of the W, they should take opportunities to reward the Garen for making smart plays. Like, say I'm gonna be leaving my lane to pursue the villain, and I kill the villain, and killing the villain gave me, like, I don't know, like 10 or 5 W stacks because I even ulted the villain. I think that would be pretty cool. That way I could stack the W faster. I would feel less of a dependency of having to be in my lane. Yes, I would want the solo lane farm, but I always monitor my W stacks. That's definitely like a big psychological thing for a Garen player. You know, the difference between being fully stacked and not fully stacked. I mean, I always compare Garen to Cho'Gath. I know this isn't exactly 100%, you know, this could be argued. But I sometimes call Cho'Gath Garen 2.0, where even if you eat somebody with Cho'Gath, not only does it amplify his percentile damage because his Vorpal Spikes has a ratio dependent on how many stacks he has, but he literally becomes tankier with every single successful ultimate and stack.
And his ult gets more powerful then. So.
Yeah, it's bonkers. If Garen got some W stacks off of ulting the villain, something small like that, that definitely would go miles and miles for sure.
I got to say that probably would be a good idea. Looks like we don't have any new questions for now. I feel we have actually I think it's a Heimerdinger main, Captain Dong Dong. I feel you, and even though I didn't read this, I will still have voted. You see, there's actually people who don't play Garen who are still, you know, able to be objective enough to see that that Garen actually isn't that great, even though some people believe him to be great. He really isn't.
Well, let's have some more of an internal discussion. Like when people ask me, what's great about Garen? I sometimes have to reply, well, the thing is, Garen is like much of a generalist champion. He's proficient at some things, but he's the master of like absolutely nothing. There's a champion that could be named and explained that could do something much better than Garen can do in an individual category. So what do you guys think? Do you feel like Garen should stay the generalist Juggernaut, or should he be given a little bit more of an identity? So if there was ever any reason he was ever picked in LCS, you know, it would be for that identity. Because right now LCS teams will probably never pick Garen over like someone like Darius or even Cho'Gath.
I mean, I think Garen has an identity. I think it's just not supported well enough. I mean, what Garen does differently than the other Juggernauts is he is the most bursty out of them all.
Well, actually, honestly, I have to. Sorry for interrupting you, but like if Alawi lands a re on you and she's maxing it, presses R when both you and your spitter are under the ult, you're gonna disappear, man.
Yeah, that's conditional though. It takes like 3 seconds to do that as well. It's like not
Not really. Like if you watch one of my oldest videos when I used to play. To play Alawi regularly, you could legitimately just press ER right, boom, like right after.
I mean, hypothetically, Darius could stand in between 5 people with his cube, perfectly hit them all, and then ult 5 people back to back. Technically, I mean, like when we're talking about like from a raw standpoint of like neutral.
I see.
Like, you know, like. Garen has the least amount of setup required of any of the Juggernauts.
I actually missed the point there. You're right.
And so he deals his burst and he gets out, and that's something that's like unique to Garen specifically. So I think he has an identity. I think he's like the most assassin-like of the bunch.
True.
The only problem is when he doesn't have the reliability to pull that off.
Yeah.
That's true. That's very well put.
It depends. Like last season, you could just build Ghostblade and you could one-shot like damn near anyone with your combo. Well, like now you need to build more expensive Triforce. It just depends on what his stats are. So it's like it's a binary kind of decision. Like you either one combo them or you don't, and then they just kill you because you didn't do anything else after your combo.
And what I think is that he wouldn't have to be forced into that identity if he had any other kind of utility on his kit. Or he wouldn't necessarily need to like one combo somebody if his sustain damage was a little bit better. But without any kind of in-combat sustain, like he's never going to be able to stay in a fight for any kind of long-term duration. Like his whole kit is geared towards disengaging after you deal your damage so you can regen. So
yeah, I mean that's why the build's a Triforce right now. So
yeah.
And also, like the lack of a disengage also makes this a little harder. Like once you get in, you actually have to stay in, but you don't have the means to survive unless you build tank. Which kind of gets us to that argument that many people make that we feel these issues because we're trying to do something with Garen that we're not supposed to do, like, you know, killing people. Garen's supposed to be a sponge. But my counter argument to this is actually pretty simple. Garen is, if you want to play a tank, a control tank, you have a lot of options, and Garen just isn't one of them, you know? Like, if you want to control, you can play Malphite, you can play Maokai, you can play Ornn. Don't you want to play Ornn? I'll play Ornn, it's so fun. You can do that. You know, you do have the options. Garen's just not in that category. Hell, even Darius controls better than Garen, because Darius can actually displace, and his W is a lock. Because 90% slow is a lock. You know, if you get hooked by Darius, you actually have to flash. You know, there's no way you're getting out without using a summoner spell or a mobility spell, because Darius actually hooks you in, slows you with E, and then he reapplies the slow with W, and they stack. So
Yeah, you
even Darius,
either have to be able to kill Darius, or you have to be able to run away from him.
yeah, that's the thing. Whilst with Garen, you don't really get to do that. We actually have a question on Reddit. That's FabFan74. Garen is a Juggernaut, but he doesn't have an in-combat sustain mechanic like other champions in the same class. I think Garen will be good in laning phase and get more survivability in teamfights if you got this. Maybe remove change perseverance for that. Judgment is not the spell who must be maxed anymore because Q does more damage in a short time. Maybe add spin for each point in E and some damage on percentage HP on E, or get E more damage for each champion hit by Judgment. That's actually the opposite of what's going on right now. You know, he's suggesting that we could add, like, E does more damage based upon how many people he's getting hit by. That's actually not too stupid. If you exclude the minions, you're actually rewarding Garen for getting into the enemy team and spinning on everybody. You know, the armor shred is supposedly their take on this, but it just doesn't work. Because it's not good enough. But
well, I mean, the armor shred works sort of. I mean, it does give you the option to like auto attack Q after your spin instead. Like it gives you some options in lane. But you know, 4 ticks. You know, when you think about what the items they push on Garen, I mean, like, yeah, maybe he gets like a bunch of shred from Cleaver and E. But if you get all this shred and then you don't have any damage afterwards, like that shred doesn't actually do anything for you. I would like to see them support landing more than just 4 ticks on a target. Like if 4 ticks is considered skill expression on one target, then why can't landing 6 on the same target or 8 on the same target give Garen additional benefit?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense though. You don't want to E and then Q. Like,
you can't. You just can't. It's not that you don't want to. If I could, I would, but I can't. In a team fight, I'm generally not gonna be the one that gets engaged on. Like unless Blitzcrank hooks me in, which case I'm more than happy to just spin on everybody and shred their armor. But you know, generally speaking, you don't go in a team fight with E. You start it with Q because that's your engage tool. So I get it. This is meant to be like Garen goes in, gets the shred off, and then then his team does the work. Like this is aimed at making his team benefit from it, you know. I get it, but it just doesn't work because you don't get a chance to do that. People know what you're going for.
If you do have 40% CDR and go in with Q first, apply the armor shred immediately after Q, and then follow up with the Q after, you kind of get that in a placebo effect. So it does depend on your CDR as well. I mean, if we want to talk about armor shred, I really feel like they should keep the armor shred or amplify it a bit because
definitely.
If we're dividing the viability of Garen's armor shred in kit from competitive to solo queue, it's something that isn't talked about too much in solo queue, but I vastly appreciate Garen being able to shred armor in solo queue. It's great. I don't even fret about full AD team comps anymore because the concept of taking away the entire team's 42% of the entire team's armor is definitely something that makes armor stacking on enemy team like almost irrelevant. I just tell my ADC to get the last whisper, and it's almost like they're not even building armor when we team fight. It's really great. I really love that they added armor shred to Garen's spin, and if they can expand on that a little bit more, like Moon proposed, yeah, Garen could definitely have more of an identity because even Darius's armor penetration is all personal power, but Garen actually has team utility with being able to take the enemy's armor away. So there definitely is some causality for expanding his identity if they were to make changes around that. I think that'd be really cool.
Like
I see.
I used to think that E shred was really good and Black Cleaver shred was really good for team fights, but like if you're spinning on 3 or 4 people in a team fight, you don't need the armor shred. You're already going to win the team fight if you're in that position. So I'm seeing less and less use of it, really.
I see.
Especially with the new Triforce build.
True. Like when you actually when you look at the alternatives, instead of actually trusting my ADC in solo queue, instead of trusting my ADC with the damage output, I'd rather do it myself, honestly, because ADCs in solo queue are inconsistent, and if you're going to try rely on them, you might just end up disappointed. And even when you're trying to solo carry, you end up disappointed by them. So go figure, if you actually play around them, you might actually just get dragged down. That's why I really don't like the sort of Garen is the master of armor shred thing that's going on right now. So that's my view on it. And honestly, looking at FabFan's question, the idea of percentage HP damage on E isn't too bad, is it? Honestly, like maybe starting from the 4th tick and onwards, he starts doing percentage HP damage. Maybe something like that, you know? Conditional percentage HP damage, because everybody's got that. You know, most champions in the game actually have a form of percentage max HP damage. We get that from the villain. You could remove that, like remove the villain max percentage max HP damage from E, and then add in this. I think this would probably be a pretty good change. What do you guys think?
I really am highly, if there's one thing I can definitely say, and I've stated this publicly, privately, many times before in the past, I do not like that even though Garen is a Juggernaut, he has such a poor time dealing with tanks because Riot's philosophy on making tanks viable in lane for trading stances and all sorts of things is adding percentile damage into the kit, which makes trading with tanks very, very difficult early on. Ornn, they really need to make adjustments to Garen's kit so he's capable of dealing with Juggernauts. I mean, if you give Darius a few levels, tanks start basically turtling at the towers because they don't want to deal with Darius. Alawi, if Alawi gets Conqueror or even Black Cleaver, it's going to be a matter of time before Alawi keeps the tank at their tower. Mordekaiser, tanks don't even get near Mordekaiser because Mordekaiser can basically decimate most champions top lane who get in his face. Nasus, yes, Nasus does get bullied out by tanks, but if you give 300 stacks on Nasus, Nasus is going to go ahead and show any tank what's up. Garen, on the other hand, basically has to play the tanks game, even though tanks are better at initiating, crowd control, disruption, even durability sometimes, you know, Garen just has to play at the mercy of the tank until Garen gets an inherent advantage. I really don't agree with that. That is definitely a class-to-class discrepancy that they need to fix. Garen needs a better way to deal with tanks.
Like, you know, I would have agreed with that before, but like, I don't know, in recent patches, tanks just didn't even feel that powerful anymore. Like outside of Malphite, they're not even played anymore. It's just bruisers, I fight. But yeah. I don't know. You can poke them out with Sheen and like Grasp.
I think Garen is still bad against tanks, but they've dropped out of meta because Conqueror Bruisers are beating them.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's not Garen exactly beating them, but it's just that it's the fear of a tank being first picked, and then you being responded with Tryndamere or Jax, someone who can use Conqueror much better. And because of that stigma, we don't have to deal with tanks as much. But imagine if they adjust Conqueror or even nerf it potentially. Not saying it has to happen, but if Riot takes that direction and tanks are like, oh, well, we can pick tanks again because Conqueror is resurfacing, then we're going to deal with the tanks again. And yet there are some tanks that we can build Conqueror against and definitely abuse. But I have taken Conqueror versus Ornn, and I don't really feel that great about it, to be honest, until like maybe level 11. But level 11 was the level I was banking on to trade with Ornn in the first place, even before the introduction of Conqueror. So it puts me in a difficult spot. I just play super passive in these lanes, for
Really?
sure.
Like,
And
I don't feel like that anymore. Like outside of Cho'Gath, I'd rather fight a tank than a bruiser right now, to be honest. Maybe because it's just bruisers are really strong with Conqueror.
Because they classify him as a specialist.
Yeah,
like,
Cho'Gath's just broken. Like everyone knows Cho'Gath's broken.
And before we move to the next question, I think we can probably all agree that Garen doesn't require a form of infight sustain to be better suited to the class that he is a part of, because every Juggernaut has a way to stay in the fight longer and longer. Garen doesn't really have that, because Garen's resistance comes from damage reduction on his W, but that doesn't remove the health, the health drain that you get in a fight. Yes, it reduces it, but it doesn't remove it like a shield, like, you know, like Mordekaiser's shield does, like Mordekaiser's heal does, like Darius' Q does. Illaoi's sustain does, and also Skarner's shield does that. You know, Skarner can just spam W in a fight repeatedly, and you know that's the health. That's effective health. Garen doesn't get at that anywhere. His W is
It's
not.
because Garen's not really a Juggernaut. Like he's like a tanky assassin. Like, it doesn't fulfill the fantasy of tanky assassin. Like Juggernauts all have some sort of sustain or shield. Or, he doesn't have that. He's just a bit more tanky, but he's an assassin. That's how I see him anyway.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree with Adam's saying. I mean, don't they still classify Mordekaiser as a Juggernaut? But you don't really see Mordekaiser building that much durability. Like, yeah, Rylai is okay. But Mordekaiser is looking to burst, blow somebody up, target the ADC, get that ghost, and then either just focus Dragon or just go for straight objectives. Yeah, I really feel like the term Juggernaut is a pretty loose one, as is. Illaoi, I don't see Illaoi really building tank items unless extremely behind. She's going to want to load up that BC into Death Stands into the Steraks and just go ahead and wreak havoc in team fights.
Yeah, but she's like a conditional Juggernaut, like, and then in a sense she's a Juggernaut because she just regens so much HP from her tentacles as well.
Garen has like the weaknesses of a Juggernaut, but his strengths are not the same. That's the only thing he has in common. He's immobile.
That's actually very well put.
He's got like uniqueness though, and like his assassin potential.
Yeah, I like that Garen's not a traditional Juggernaut. I like that he's unique. Like, I wouldn't want to see him become more like the others. Like, the thing... Okay, so, like, with the in-combat sustain, I get it to a certain extent. Garen doesn't have in-combat sustain because of his W mechanic. He tends to take less damage up front than most characters. But they've also offset his base stats, you know, like his base HP and his base armor because of his W. So he feels weak compared to them in terms of like sustained fights in that respect, because not only is he weaker base stat, but he also doesn't have sustain. But he should have equal base stats, and then he should be relying on good W use to be his quote-unquote sustain, because he's basically ignoring damage instead of healing it. And that has its own strengths, because that's not weakened by grievous wounds.
So I don't think he necessarily... Just not the same strength as other Juggernauts. It's actually very, very well said, I have to say.
Like, rather than giving him in combat sustain, you could give him something that's like more assassin-y. I don't know, like maybe if he ults the villain, he gets like some sort of Evelyn ult mechanic or just some way to get out or something. Like, I think they should add to his assassin sort of side rather than building like Juggernaut sides.
Holy moly, we
That's
actually have a
my
lot of
preference, really.
we actually have a lot more questions, dudes. We're gonna have to answer quite a few of these. Wait a minute, let me just update the page because I've posted a response, but it doesn't show. Okay, there it is.
What happened to the previous post?
Oh yeah, by the way, Marine, any news?
Okay. Oh, the mods just messaged me and said we can link stream now.
Oh, we can
Dog
link
Squad from Tony Blaze It is who messaged me.
Okay, whatever. I'm gonna. So I'm actually authorized to re-put the links in there. All right, I'll do that.
Before it gets taken down again.
Maybe he's trolling us and then they take it down again. Let's just do that.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of Demacian hooligans over here. Watch out! Oh no!
Watch out! This is definitely. Okay, so come ask questions live. It's a stream. And I'm gonna have to recopy the link because
yeah, I don't think they'll ever give Garen in combat sustain.
But honestly, after Marine's explanation, I'm honestly fine with that. Like he has a point. I wouldn't have saw it
makes
this
sense
way.
for him to not have it.
Yeah,
so.
I wouldn't have seen it this way, but after he's explained that, I actually do, honestly. Like, he actually managed to convince me. Okay, so I've posted the links on the post. Let's just take a look at the other questions that we have, because we have a few more. Let's take a look. We have Frost Caliber then saying, no, Garen has too much value in being an introduction champion. Many people absorbs the basic of League through Garen, and giving him that identity can take away the value Garen brings to the newest players of League. Instead, Garen's identity should shine through his runes, items, and overall playstyle. And Floriano, who I think we all know him, honestly, because he's been on everybody's stream at least once. Is that all the value he should have then? So basically, if you want to keep using him, we will have to deal with the option of Garen being useless past plat. And honestly, that's probably the best answer there is to this comment overall. It's like, yes, Garen is meant to be a beginner champion, and I'm not necessarily against that, but we have a lot of beginner champions like Annie or Ashe who are actually able to, you know, do their job without being poor in higher elos. So like, Riot can just take an Warwick too. Like, Warwick is actually a very simple champion overall, but he's not, like, that doesn't mean that he's not allowed to shine in higher elos. I think they can do the same with Garen. The balanced team has it in themselves. They've done it before. They've reworked Danny, they've reworked Warwick, they've reworked Ashe. They've done it before, so they can do it with Garen. I'm sure they can. That's why we're here. If we believe that Riot wasn't capable of keeping that identity, but also giving Garen more opportunities to shine, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't be this would be a waste of time. We wouldn't be here. So this is.
I think the concept I'd like to use is skill expression. This is what I personally would prefer from Riot the most. Like overall, if we're gonna be pushing the envelope with this kit, giving him more skill expression. I tried responding to Meddler. I have yet to get a response from him, but I proposed that, since they originally changed his W to have a 0.75 second window to give him a large percentage of tenacity and damage reduction, I was very, very forward with that. And I actually like that change, because when I'm running down to Varus, if I time my W correctly, his ultimate means nothing to me. I can continue chasing him. This is in this controlled situation where I don't have flash, and Q is my only way to basically gap close and get on top of him. And I really, really enjoy that. And if Garen wants to be a fundamentals type of champion where somebody can practice their fundamentals of League, there's still ways to keep him a fundamental champion, but still push the envelope for skill expression. If Garen's what if Garen's caveat is you can practice your reaction time with Garen. Garen is a Juggernaut where your reaction time is going to be key, and I don't know. I really feel like Garen's W late game being 6 seconds, it still feels like a little foreign how an ability lasts for 6 seconds. Most shields and defensive steroids only last for like 2 to 4 seconds at the very most. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I would really prefer if they made Garen's W into 2 different charges, split it up into like 2 different 2-second charges, but give him 2 0.75 second windows to react to 2 different types of CC. And if you timed your W correctly twice in a team fight, that means you got the shrug off 2 forms of crowd control, and you could navigate through team fights easier. Or even then, like if Garen could ult a villain and get like a 0.75 second window back, it would be really, really
Maybe
cool.
A reset on W. I agree with that. But I'm going to have to interrupt you because I think our post just got removed again. Marine?
Told you.
Oh,
Marine,
no.
What?
Called it.
This time it's your fault, man. This time it's your fault.
Dude, I called it.
You did.
Dude,
we even had the plays to respond to us.
Can you like ask the moderator to not troll, please? Because that's pretty annoying, honestly. Like, I'm not the type to tilt for these things. It's probably an automated system. But
we know that Reddit loves Garen too.
Yeah, he messaged me, Dong Squad 420 Blaze It. Can you link the thread? And then it just got removed.
So, do we make the post for a 3rd time?
No, hold on. I think he can bring it back.
Just do it.
I think he can.
Just do it. Just to make him do it.
Yeah. I linked it to him, so let's wait and see.
Okay, so the comments that there are still there, so we can still take a look at that. Let me continue to answer the questions then.
Yeah, let's go.
Look here. we kind of have a general question from Fantasy is Justice here. Due to Garen's simple kit and lack of true mobility, actual dashes and wall jumps instead of just movement speed boost, is it sometimes a struggle to choose whether to run it down top and split push or actually join team fights? Specifically for Garen players, when should one join team fights and when should one stick to splitting? I'm actually gonna let you guys answer to this one because I want to kind of write the answer we have given to the previous question on the Reddit post, so you guys can handle this one for a second.
I think we're gonna have some differences in opinion because I know Adam always loves preferring team fights over everything, if I recall correctly.
Like I mean, split push when you can, but I always like to be there because you have the damage to just flash and one-shot someone, right? If you do that, you just win like any team fight if you get the right flank. So, like, split push is great when your team's winning 4v4. Sure, split push, but like, if you're losing, then like splitting's not going to win you the game, like, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do. I think we should encourage I think we should encourage a fantasy to have mentality for understanding what's a good split pushing situation and what's a not so good split pushing situation. Like what's going through my head whenever I want to split push is my team comp can operate a 4v4, yes, but I also maybe want to keep somebody away, particularly a top laner, of course, so they don't traumatize or endanger my team. Like good examples of this is possibly like Vladimir. Like if I'm up against Vladimir, yeah, he's gonna have the early game advantage, but I can itemize a build that can not only keep him in lane, in a side lane, late game, but also be able to solo kill him and dive him and push against him and turn him into liability because of banner of command. So it really depends on who your top lane matchup is, and could you possibly abuse him and turn him into a big liability later on in the game. Good examples of this are probably top lane mages, like if anybody locks in Veigar top lane, or even Vladimir, or maybe even Echo, or a tank, you know, Maokai, you know, maybe even Ornn, you know, like late game if you have that lead.
See, I still think with good flanks, you can be more useful than Maokai. If you get a good flank on one of the carries,
if you manage to do that, the carry just dies. Like Maokai, you pull off a good engage, but there is still a chance that your team might just fail that. You know, I've seen it happen. You know, proper engage is being wasted because the team is just, you know, bad. That happens. But if it's if everything is in my hands and I pull off a good flank and I get to you, you're dead. You know, there's no team, there's no other factor to consider. You're gonna die to me, and that's exactly what I want. That's the thing that I think Garen should be able to do.
Yeah, but like it's like last season, this was my strategy as well. Like you can see even last season, my CS is crap. It's like 6 a minute. But like what I did was try and stomp lane as hard as I can, and then transition that into team fights, basically every game. So like it was hardly any split pushing. I didn't even like I let them CS in lane. They'll catch back up eventually, but like I try and get the team so far ahead that we just win. I mean, that's what I did last season. That's why I did this.
AMSat, you may want to write too that you also probably want to encourage him to also be receptive to how his team is responding to his communication. Say, for example, you're the designated shot caller, or you try to be a shot caller in solo queue. If you propose that you want to possibly push down bottom and drop pressure so your team can go for an easy Baron, say your team has a Heimerdinger, and Heimerdinger can cheese Baron so easily, but you need that initial opening to get some people away so he can go for that rush. That would be a good point to split push down bottom, IMO. But if the team isn't responding and they're like dead silent and they're just autopiloting, you may want to reconsider the split push because, of course, in solo queue, you definitely need to watch your chickies before they do something completely silly and just throw the game. So
I personally...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were about to be done.
You gotta make sure your team's on board. That's all I wanted to say.
Right, I'm adding this to the answer right now.
Basically, I would push if I think I can dive and kill whoever I'm laying against still. I will split push against them as long as I can. As long as I think I can get the kill. soon as I don't think I can kill them 1v1 like easily anymore, I would prefer to rotate and try to flank on.
Yeah.
I get it. I actually agree with Risti about his position. Like, if the team is on board, you're just getting rewarded by making the proper shot calling. But if my shot calls are being ignored, or I'm just not the person that shot calls, and the situation in teamfights is not one in which I'm actually able to participate, I am going to split. And Tri-Gauge actually helps me do that more effectively. True, you can actually force towers in teamfights with Tri-Gauge. I've done that before. Like, Q tower, back off, Q tower, back off. Tower just dies over time. If you have a decent sieging team, you can actually just destroy the tower like this. I've done it before. It's cheesy, but it works. So obviously Tri-Gauge isn't aimed at split pushing. It works very well in a team fight, but it gives you the option. If your team doesn't work with you, you can just go for the split push, and maybe that's going to allow you to get more pressure and perhaps draw the attention of 2 or more people towards top lane. And that's actually happened to me lately quite a few times, when people would just come top lane, try to run me over, fail at it because I actually managed to escape or kill them both, and then my team gets a free objective. So split pushing is it's a part of the game as a top laner, and since Tri-Gauge is the best build for Garen right now overall, and allows you to do that more effectively, I think honestly I wouldn't exclude split pushing from a potential strategy. I'm probably just agreeing with Risti here, because
but you're right though. Like, it's one of the biggest misconceptions really. Everyone just sees Tri-Gauge and they're like, oh, this Garen just split pushes the whole game. But like, in my opinion, Tri-Gauge is more of a team fight build.
Yeah, it's not aimed at split pushing. It's good for that as well,
yeah,
but
just,
as a secondary, it's just the option. But the main gist of it is I want to kill that AD carry during the heat of a team fight. You know, in one of my latest videos, I actually flash Q on an Ashe and kill her in a single burst without even spinning on her. And that wins us the team fight. And both teams were there in their entirety. And I just ignored the backline, ignored the front line and killed her. And I think that's what Garen should be able to do. Of course, Flash helped me a lot with that. But, you know, that's why Tri-Gauge is great. It's not because it melts towers. That's just a secondary thing. Gives you more room. But the main thing is you can actually kill squishies. You can actually kill the carry.
Yeah.
Without
and back to the split push thing, it's like there's 2 options in it. You either split push and get the enemies to use resources on you, or you win lane and then you use the resources that you have over the enemy to win team fights. So
yeah,
you just have to decide which one you want to do.
Okay.
If you're really ahead, then you can fight.
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly like many people think. If I'm ahead, then I have to split push, because then my pressure is gonna be immense. But if you're ahead, you can put that pressure in the team fight. You know, there are.
If you're ahead, then your team's even. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you're ahead and your team's even, or like if the enemy team doesn't necessarily have, like if the enemy team has a Janna, I would honestly say split pushing is better in general, because she's not going to give you the room to do what you have to do in a team fight in most cases. But in other cases, generally, it is possible for you to do your work in a team fight. Like, there are only a number of champions that are actually capable of just ruining you flat out and destroying your entire attempt at doing anything in a team fight. So that's what you have there.
Depends on team comps.
Yeah. Let's take a look at.
So wait, is the post back up now, or is it still deleted?
I messaged the mod like 3 times.
And I think the
post.
I
he
see
replied
some
one.
Post is still not back though.
Yeah, he replied 1 time and hasn't come back yet. I'm still trying to. I messaged him again like just a second ago.
Okay. Let's see. There are other answers. Questions to answer.
Please undelete the post. Mods, please help us, yo.
Like, there's more than 22 mods there. Shouldn't they react? We have Wizard Dex ZD YouTube. What do you think about if QCD started when you press the button rather than after getting the auto attack off? This would allow Garen to pull off Udi or Singed plays where he can use his mobility to move around the entire map. Honestly, I'm just gonna answer this straight up. I think it would probably break the ability, because I think it just breaks it. I think it's too strong.
Yeah, I think it suggested this ages ago. It's not. It's like, it's easy to play around. but I mean, it's easy for the enemy to play around. But if you can utilize it as Garen, then you get insane chains of Q combos. Longer silence, more damage.
I know it opens up to, but then maybe the CD should get increased. I don't know.
And you increase your mobility with it as well.
I know, but I feel like if Q, like you have the potential to actually perma Q someone like this, almost,
Perma
like
Q?
nearly.
No, you can get
perma
2.
Silence. Like
It's
and I'm
not going to
sure.
inject any extra skill expression into Garen's kit
Yeah,
either.
how?
It's going to be something that beginners are going to pick up on, and pros are going to, you know, Garen, you know, enthusiasts are going to be like, oh, well, they changed Q. Now we just got to just keep hitting the Q key over and over, you know? I don't feel really great about that. I really feel like that's like a bunch of excess power added.
How though? It's about timing. Like when your Q is about to expire, try and utilize it, and then you get another one after. Like enemy can back off when it's about to expire. Or... I don't know.
Sure.
Seems like skill expression really, but
like all of the auto attack abilities in the game, they work the same way as Garen's Q. Like so many champions would break with a change like that. I'm not sure. I'm honestly
it depends. Like Udyr can store his.
That's true, but like Udyr is entirely designed around that mechanic. You know, if Garen gets that option,
yeah, a
might
large
as well
portion
not
of
spin it all.
Udyr's power budget is his stun.
Yeah, but his entire kit is designed around changing, you know, those auto attacks. I think that's probably something you have to consider. Let's take a look. Frost Caliber asks, should Garen's EQ autos apply flat armor penetration per hit instead of percentage, because BC will be much more efficient that way? I don't think that would probably work. Like, honestly, adding flat armor pen, basically lethality to E and Q just sounds a little, I don't know. Sounds like a
You can't balance that. It's going to be worse against tanks, better against squishies.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's not
too hard to balance.
I don't think it's the right way to change Garen's kit, honestly. I wouldn't change that.
I think we can acknowledge that Riot doesn't think that Garen's really a high priority. Like I don't know if you guys agree with me, but if we're seeing a LCS caliber champion, champions that are seen in competitive play, like Lee Sin, like even more recently Camille, Riot is more open to balancing these champions over the course of several patches, but I really feel like they're gonna do like a one and done deal with Garen like they did last year.
Yeah,
Oh
for the
my
last
God.
like 6 or 7 years in a row, Garen gets either one buff or one rework, and then
He
like
also
a
gets
nerf
one bug
afterwards.
fix as well every year.
All right,
one
all right, we're
bug
done here,
fix.
boys. See you next year.
Yeah, I honestly, this kind of like behavior, I want to call it, it's obviously not the proper term, but this kind of behavior from Riot, just, I don't think, it's not really a good way to treat a champion. I'm not like, even if it wasn't specifically Garen, you know, it just doesn't seem like something that would work. Like, why would you just give a champion a minor spike? Because it's a minor spike. It's not like they're launching Garen all the way to 60% win rate or something. They just give you a small boost, get you back to the 48% that he's always been, you know, going around, and then just disappear. I'm not saying that Garen has a kit that you can modify very often and, you know, try to make difference and that kind of stuff. It's just, I'm not saying that they have to do that, but they could get some sort of middle ground, you know? Not necessarily saying that they have to do hyper buffs, but they could split Garen's changes over the course of a few patches. I remember back when they changed Garen's W, they said that this was the start of a longer conversation with Garen. But last I knew, a conversation is me doing something and you answering within a year, you know, not a year after. Because like, it's not a conversation if you answer once every year, you know, it's just, it's fucking letters.
I mean, they try and keep like balancing him, so they buff him every time to keep up with the power creep. I mean, he's had no nerfs. He's just been buffed since the one nerf he got after the Juggernaut rework. He's just been buffed.
Yeah, and if you don't count that nerf that came from a bug, like that they recently nerfed him was a bug that has nothing to do with the ability that they changed. Like, he actually hasn't received the legit nerf unless you, like, you have to count the actual nerf. You have to count the Juggernaut rework as the only real nerf that Garen has received ever since he was released. Honestly, because like, and honestly, like, just kind of goes to show, if you're constantly buffing a champion because you're trying to keep him in line with the power creep, I don't know, give him something of a more, not universal, but something that can keep up, some sort of way to adapt to changes. You know, like, for example, I'm going to throw out, since Risti mentioned her, I'm going to throw out the Camille. Camille is allowed to suck, but she doesn't really suck. Because what does she bring to a team? She has a stun that's a long range, and she can actually outplay with it. And then she has a lockdown ult. Like, many champions have something that even if they're not doing so well, they still have that, and they can do well. Like, yes, average win rate might be lower than usual. Like, people playing them the pick rate might be getting a little lower, but they still have that way to deal with it. You know, they can actually still do their job. Like Sion, they can continue nerfing Sion to me, but Sion will continue to be Sion. Sion will continue to be the champion that scales for HP infinitely, that is able to lock down a target for 3 seconds straight alone. He can still do that. You know, it's just champions like those who have an identity, an actual identity, are actually capable of still doing what they do normally, regardless of power creeping. Garen doesn't really fall into that category, and I think that they should do something about that.
Wait, who said Camille sucks? She doesn't suck.
No one does. No one does, but like, she's allowed to suck, honestly. If they nerfed her to the ground and they destroyed her, you know, they destroyed the numbers on her kit, they did this, they can do a lot of things. She's still Camille.
Then no one plays her, then they just pick Fiora.
Yeah, but you can still use your long range E to stun someone. You still have a 20,
yeah,
you
but
still
why?
have a shield.
Like, no, it's like, it's just broken because of numbers and numbers with utility, but like, I mean...
And same goes for Fiora. Like, Fiora, you can reduce the true damage on her fucking vitals to 1, but she still has percentage max HP true damage. Disengage, because she's provided with movement speed when she lands a hit on the vital, which is fair. You know, it's a reward. You're doing something, you get rewarded for the something that you're doing. You know, that's fair. But, you know, she's still gonna be relevant, because she still has that, you know, that percentage max HP true damage. You know, it's there. Like,
it still needs items to do it. But...
Yeah, but like, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, there are champions in the game who are allowed to have worse overall numbers and still do their jobs. And this is honestly something that I would say praise Riot for. You know, means that a champion is capable of still doing some sort of proper work with the game, even though the numbers don't favor that champion. And yet Garen is not among them. Like, they've changed Garen in many ways, but none of their changes lately have actually given him the ability to do his job regardless of the position in the meta.
No, but like, Fiora and Garen do the same. Like, if Fiora's behind, she doesn't do her job. She still needs to scale. She just scales a lot harder than Garen.
Yeah, exactly. And
like,
Garen...
they both only bring damage, really.
True. So, that's true. That's true.
Just
but
that
Fiora actually
scales
provides
faster.
sustain to the entire team when she lands her ult. You know, she's
Yeah,
allowed.
that's just her reward for like getting invited.
It's there.
And that's why I think Garen needs something comparable, is because when you compare Garen alongside characters that do the same thing he does, he still has less utility.
Yeah, like again, Darius
he
comes
has
to mind.
utility,
Darius
basically.
comes to mind. Like, Darius can actually output AoE damage in large chunks while being moderately tanky. Honestly, Darius is not that squishy.
If Darius has
compared to
cleaver and he hits 5 people with his Q, they all have full cleaver stacks on
Yeah,
them.
but even if you don't, like, even if you're a selfish prick like me and you go tri-gauge Darius, which I do, you can still have your E as a displacement skill.
Yeah, his E is it's more utility than Garen.
That alone is more utility than
Yeah.
Garen. That alone. Like, the fact that I can just hook you and stick you here. You're like, oh, you're running away? No. You're running towards my... Like, you can actually peel people like this. Oh, enemy talent is running towards my ADC. I'm just going to press a single button and pull him into my chest. Then slow him down by 90%. That's a disengage. You know, you can do that with Darius. Garen, you know, the silence is there, but...
Yeah. The problem that happens with this is your champion's not hyperscaling. It's got no utility. You can't fall behind. If you go behind, you're useless.
Yeah.
Just for the rest of the game, you're just useless.
And honestly, Darius falls behind, but he doesn't fall behind nearly as hard as Garen, because a 5 stacks Darius still gets 600 true damage on his ult. You know?
Oh yeah, he just scales better than Garen.
He just scales.
So
'cause
the
he gets
skill
the
expression
80
lies
steroids.
in. The skill expression lies in not falling behind, because that's what separates the good Garens from the not so good Garens. Like, I really feel like the monetized champion has skill expression in kit. Our skill expression is doing the right thing and not
Threads
falling
back.
behind.
Red's back. Awesome.
Oh,
Threads back.
cool.
Whoa, dude. Awesome. Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you,
I just
Big
needed to
Moderators.
interrupt so you guys know. Anyway,
Yeah, you
go ahead,
had
Risti.
to. You had to. That was totally fair. That was totally fair. Thank the mods for this, because it's nice. We actually have a few more questions, so let's answer those.
Okay.
Abowie Nation asks, is Conqueror good on him or Grasp Predator better? Also, I once saw a full AD Garen main on IELO game and he rushed Essence Reaver or Tank Ren is better. Okay, so this is actually another question in which we probably disagree on quite a few things. Because personally, for myself, I'm going to speak for myself here, I think Conqueror is still great. It's a gimmick and you have to play around it. But if you play around it, then you're going to be very, very annoying. Like, your damage output is actually huge. I feel the damage difference, and just the AD, honestly. It's like Fervor. I used to run Fervor on Titan Garen. Conqueror is basically the same thing, but it procs on a single auto attack, and then you get your entire E to output with it. And, you know, I think Conqueror still works, but I do not dare deny that Grasp is just as good, if not better. Like, I like Conqueror and I enjoy it, so I would recommend that you use it. But Grasp is just up there, because it does the same thing, essentially.
We're going to be opening up a discussion with the amount of choice you can have and the amount of diversity Garen has with his itemization and, of course, with team comp. I really feel like Conqueror can be better than Grasp in the team composition. Like, for example, let's say you're going into Conqueror, right? You have to take the precision tree. Yes, you get attack speed, but you also get Triumph, which is definitely something that I really, really love on Garen in team fights, especially if you get a takedown. Like, say, for example, I'm up against Cyan, and I have a Soraka on my team, so I'm definitely looking to get Spear Visage because I prefer going for, like, a tanky Bruiser Garen. But with the synergy that's all embedded in there, the Conqueror, I think I would enjoy more, just because of the synergy with Spear Visage and Triumph. So there definitely are multiple gears that turn when it comes to choosing Conqueror over Grasp. I think both are really great, but it depends on the context.
I personally love Grasp. I wouldn't use anything else right now. The damage that you get out of Grasp is admittedly lower than Conqueror, but the little bit of sustain and the permanent stats you get specifically, we always talk about how we feel like Garen's base stats are one of his problems. And I feel like, you know, especially in a melee matchup where I'm willing to, like, trade 5 or 6 times at level 1 if I can, just to get as many procs as I can going as fast as possible. I really feel like Grasp gives Garen a lot, and it's one of the only keystones he can use in basically any scenario. Every other keystone has a restriction of some kind because of his poor synergy with proccing most of them.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Marine.
Okay, I'm gonna actually add your answers all together.
Yeah,
if you're
like,
okay with that?
You know, I tried to make Conqueror work so bad, but like, I don't even take Conqueror versus tanks anymore. Like,
I
just
can
take
see
Grasp.
I can see why you would, and like,
And
we're actually playing at different levels, which is also why I am still allowed to take Conqueror and do well. Perhaps as I climb, I won't be able to do that again, but I will definitely still try. And obviously, if I end up getting higher elo and you know, the truth just points to, like, the facts just point out towards you being 100% right, I'm gonna tell you, because I'm totally fine with that. And I like Rasp. It's just when I can, I do want to take Conqueror because the damage is fucking awesome, especially the ult.
And
you can ult from Alpha HP now.
yeah, it's good for ult, but other than that, like, Grasp just better overall. And there's another thing as well. There's a ton of choices, but I think Marine said this. Don't quote me on it though. Like, I don't think it's actually a good idea to take like a different keystone for every different matchup, or like a different build for every different matchup. I think building consistency with one or maybe 2 different builds or keystone choices.
Well, I mean,
will
I only take
net you more
Grasp
wins.
or Conqueror, so that's
Yeah,
pretty
I only
much
take
what
Grasp versus everything. Like, just regardless.
That's fine. That's fine. But I like when you talk about 1 or 2, that's what I have. I've got Grasp for hard lanes and Conqueror in lanes when I feel I can actually snowball from.
Okay, but there's people that use Glacial Storm Raiders, or not Storm Raiders, Phase Rush.
Phase Rush.
Phase
And that's,
Rush.
and that's I think.
Well,
Yeah,
Predator.
we wish Storm Raiders was still in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
game.
I want that. I don't even know it'd be good anymore.
Don't
Because
know.
Garen's damage is so low compared to what it was.
Yeah.
I think
Dude,
it
It's
was
like you
forced
used
to
to
go grass.
combine it with the lethality build. You can't really do that anymore,
Well,
you know?
Yeah, they removed the lethality. They
Yeah.
removed the lethality runes too. That was a big catalyst for proccing Storm Raiders early, wasn't it?
And the
That
crit runes.
destroyed AD Garen, dude. AD Garen hasn't been good since lethality runes got removed.
Do you remember?
Or
Actually,
crit runes,
AD Garen
yeah.
has slowly gotten worse ever since they removed the flat armor pen runes and turned it into lethality. 'Cause armor
That was a
pen runes were
nerf
actually.
to AD Garen initially, and then it got nerfed harder when
Like,
they.
I remember watching a video from you spinning close to wolves, Shyvana walking close to you, not to kill you, she just wanted to do wolves, you know, she didn't know you were there. She walks close to your spin, takes 300 damage in 1 second, because she's spinning, and you're like, you can't get close to me, dude. I remember that, like, it's, like, burned in my head, because you could do that with the armor pen, Garen. You were very far ahead, you know, you weren't, like, it wasn't crazy. You were 2 levels ahead, but she just walked. You know, she just walked close to you and died to 300 damage in 1 or 2 seconds. That's the one
And
thing I
Garen
remember.
E needs to be like that strong, honestly. Like, because of how unreliable it is, like, it needs to have that kind of power. And it used to. Like, the armor pen build used to support E. But now E is just, there's not enough support for it. And the itemization in the game. Crit items are bad. Penetration items are bad. So, like, we can't play around E anymore.
Yeah, Cleaver's garbage.
Cleaver's just dead. The item is just dead. No one builds it anymore. Everybody goes for Tri-Gauge right now. Like, any top laner that doesn't go with Tri-Gauge sucks right now, basically. In short, you can say that every offensive-styled top laner that does not do well with Trinity Force and Sterak's Gauge is off the meta and can't do shit without. Like, can't do shit in a game.
Except for, like, Trend, and that's just because he's an outlier.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trend, he's a very peculiar champ, I think.
It's just
Yeah,
Conqueror keeping alive. Like,
Aatrox follow similar build paths. Although I have seen some Aatroxes build Trinity Force.
I've
too.
seen Aatrox build Black Cleaver actually.
Okay, so I'm gonna continue with the questions because I think we probably have a lot more coming up. Let me just take a look at the
Yeah,
number
we
here.
could talk about this current question forever.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about. Let's
Yeah,
move
because
on.
like there's so many. We have actually quite a few questions. Jeez. Let's go ahead. There are 2 questions from Simped19. Are you guys ever worried about Garen's future as a champion? About him getting reworked? And then 2, why is it you play Garen? Like, what is so interesting about him that can make you a one-trick pony Garen main? Honestly, second question is all yours, Risty. Like, I'm gonna just tell you to answer that because I'm pretty sure you're the one that's gonna get the best answer. But I'm gonna give give it my
he's
try as well.
Freaking Garen, that's why.
Well said, man. Okay, so number 1, I actually have my idea about this. Garen has been the same champion ever since Season 0. Like, when he came out, Garen was exactly the same champion that he is now, minus some, you know, changes. He's the same. His Q has always been a speed buff and silence. His W has always been a damage reduction or, you know, stacking up armor and magic resist. Z has always been a spin, and his ult has always been an execute. That I think, if I'm not mistaken, he used to scale an AP. I'm not sure.
I
But
don't
like,
think it ever did.
okay, never mind then. But like, his kit, it's always been the same. He hasn't changed ever. And of course, I wasn't around in League. I was actually a Call of Duty player back when Season 0 was going on. I regret everything, but I can't change the past. So, back then I wasn't around. But ever since I've been here, Garen has always been the same. Is this a problem? Absolutely not. Garen being the same is a reason why I'm a one-trick pony. After all, would I be worried about a rework? It depends. There are reworks, like the Warwick rework, that basically left the champion unchanged, yet changed it. If Garen were to receive a rework similar to Warwick's rework, I would honestly be genuinely hyped, because it would allow me to still enjoy the champion with a similar playstyle, perhaps more skill expression, because that's what the Warwick rework has done. So Risti's gonna be very happy about this thing that I've said now.
Yeah.
And if they did something like that, I'd probably be hyped. But anything that's close to scale to, for example, a Scion rework, then definitely not. Because Sion is just another champion. Just remove Garen and make a new champion. Call him Darren, and it's a new champion, a new Demacian that is not Garen at that point. That's what I think. And question number 2, we can actually, I'm gonna just say it's Garen, man. It's fucking Garen. He screams Demacia, he spins fast. That's what I want. And you know, fucking Garen, dude.
I like
Garen
an
is
assassin. Assassin with tankiness.
he's fun to play, dude. Like because he's
satisfaction when you ult, dude. When the ult kills. That's
like Garen is just a man. Garen's a fucking man. That's why we play Garen.
Yeah, he's a man. So anything.
Plus,
you guys
Garen hasn't been meta for a very long time, and I don't like playing meta champions. I'm sorry, they just don't really bring interesting.
I agree with you.
I
agree with you.
They decided to buff AP Galio. Oh, let me take that into solo queue. Oh, I have such great skill expression. I'm blowing up champions in less than a second with one ability. Yeah, that's so much fun.
To be honest, I dislike meta abusers a lot. I like this whole thing you've said kind of just reminds me of how much I hate meta abusers. Oh, what's good right now? Tanks in the jungle that require no skill. Let's play all of them. Oh, what's good right now? AP champions with long range in the mid lane. Fuck you, tanks in the jungle. I'm now a mid lane main. That kind of stuff tilts the shit out of me. Honestly, I don't know why. Maybe I'm toxic, but that shit, I can't take it. Meta abusers, I just don't like. Like, of course, you're going to have to adapt to the meta, but just ditching a champion to play another one because this other one champion has a higher win rate. Pathetic. Just pathetic.
I don't know who said it, but I think someone made a comment where when you play Garen, you're essentially playing the Dark Souls of League. I really feel like I resonate with that.
I don't know who said that. Probably a Shinshin. Probably a Shinshin.
Who's up against these gods and augmented different champions who clearly are meant for killing and high-end skill warfare. And then Garen has a simple kit, and yes, he has limitations of being a human being, but when you take down these other champions who have the thematic and balance attributions to being stronger than Garen, it just feels satisfying that you outplay them, even with the simplicities of your kit.
Okay, so I'm gonna quickly write down this answer. I'm gonna quickly write down these answers, and then we can move on another question from WizardXZD YouTube again. If Garen was stripped down to his most basic form, where only his core elements were kept, what would you keep? Basically, if Garen were to get another rework, what should stay? I personally think his passive is a really unique part of his character, and honestly, after reading this, honestly, passive is the only thing I would honestly not cry about losing right now. Unless it's level 11 passive right on, then the early passive just feels it's not there. You don't have a passive up until level 11. You know,
actually, does more in lane than you think. Like,
it does less in lane than I think, dude.
No, it does more. Trust me. Versus Garen, then you'll see. You'll be like, wait, this guy actually heals a lot. Yeah, actually, it's surprising how much he heals sometimes.
I mean, I remember playing against you as Darius and getting subsequently destroyed by you, but the passive wasn't what I was like annoyed by.
It was because we trade and then I just heal back up. Like,
yeah, but you're no really because I was
like
hidden.
It's hidden power, really.
Perhaps it is, but I honestly don't feel it. I honestly feel like it's levels from level 6 to 10.
You get used to having it. Like, you can definitely feel it there. By the way, in regard to abilities, I think Q is his like most iconic, really. And
an R, I think, would have to stay.
Keeps his assassin sort of esque Juggernaut feel.
Yeah, like definitely. Like the spin is a part of his identity overall.
Spin is like the meme ability, but at this point in the game, it's like it's just not good enough.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like I would like it to stay, but is there a way to make it stay and be a good ability for everyone, for us players and everybody facing us?
I like to cite the video where they had Garen dueling Katarina and Tryndamere, and if you kind of watch, like, he kind of like does these attacks with his sword where he like sort of spins it around his body, not like a fucking dreidel like he does now, but you know what I mean? Like he like just some like momentum, like he would like with the momentum of a single swing, he would like do like a 360-degree arc. I think
you want to just look realistic. like not cartoonish, so they went with that.
And if Garen, so imagine if Garen's spin had charges like Corky R.
Oh my god, I
and
remember. I remember
and,
this.
like-
This is not the first time you're bringing this up. Go ahead. I love what
Yeah.
you're saying. I love what you're
and
saying.
he could have like three, like, you know, up to like 3 stacks at a time, you know, and so like you could pick trades and he would still have weakness because he would have to like wait long periods between like having like a, you know, a bunch of stacks at once. And then that would actually allow him to want to sit back and take advantage of his passive. Like it would give him synergy in his kit, and it would give him like more bursty patterns. It would make it too, so like if you activate E and they just flash, the whole ability is not completely wasted now.
Yeah,
You know
You
what
can
I
build
mean?
attack speed as well. Just weave it in between autos. Or...
maybe, yeah. It would be amazing. Like, think about it. Every 80 caster in the game has a form of auto cancel that can actually, like, multiple times it can happen. Like, Riven is the pinnacle, I think, of, you know, animation canceling.
Or you have like ZE, where it doesn't even interrupt your autos.
Yeah, and Darius Q, actually Darius's Q does reset his auto attack timer, but back before the rework, Darius
think it
could
would be-
actually auto attack during Q. Those kind of things.
I think
be
it would be
amazing on
fair
Garen.
to keep Garen's identity intact a little bit. Don't allow him to auto attack during the spin, but rather than it being like 3 seconds, you know, let's cut it down to like half a second or 1
Yeah,
second.
and then you auto
You know?
attack in between the stacks. That would be perfect, and it requires skill. You know, it requires skill similar to what Riven does, to what Renekton does. A good Renekton, like a bad Renekton, E's, W's, Q's, E's. Yeah, you win the trade, but you're still bad. You're garbage. A good Renekton like solo Renekton only goes in E, auto attack W, auto attack like actually hold on, E auto attack W Tayama to break the auto attack W animation, auto attacks again, Q's, then auto attacks again, and then he's back. During the whole duration of Slice and Dice, you actually outputted 3 times as much damage, and that's a skill expression. And all the 80 casters in top lane have that. Why can't Garen have that as well?
You know, the only problem with a charge-based spin system is it promotes Triforce, and like Riot really doesn't want Triforce to be like the item on Garen because there's mana. That's how I feel, at least.
That's actually true.
I think that's a fair point. You know, you could give it really bad base damage and really high AD scaling or something. Make it like only an AD ratio and no base damage, and then you're forced to build attack damage to get use out of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That would be a big nerf to tank Garen, though.
By the way, I'm finishing my answer to the why is your main Garen and all that, and I've actually taken the liberty to write something a little more interesting. Like, the answer to number 2 is, it's Garen, dude. He's not just a man, he's the man. All those gods slash demons slash monsters trying to kill him, he's just a person who trained hard and can still win and prove himself worthy of the fields of justice. And then on a side note, we know they're not called like that anymore, but fuck the new lore.
What
Okay.
is the new law? I don't even know what the new law
Yeah,
is.
League of Legends is now not anymore anything real. Everything in League is fake. The champions are just copies of the real thing. You know? Jax is not a badass anymore. He's just a guy. Like, his weapon actually has a background now. It's not like, oh, he's so fucking good, we can't allow him to use a weapon, so he uses the lamppost. No, the lamppost is magical and important and has backstory and yada yada yada. Like,
I don't keep up with it, really.
yeah, I mean neither, of course, because the old lore was a lot better. Of course. Garen actually hates Garen actually hates Lux. What? This is stupid as hell. Like, the new lore is just garbage. This is why we ignore it. It's still the fields of justice. And I don't know if you guys remember.
Headcanon, man.
Headcanon, man. But I don't know if you remember, but back in the day when you picked Garen to the fields of justice. That's the real quote. It's still there for me. But yeah, let's go
I
ahead
remember
with
that.
more questions. Math410 actually asks, for now, I would be fine when Garen's Q and ult just get faster animations. That would help quite a lot already. That
Yeah, I
is
said that.
holy words, honestly. I don't think there's much to add to this. I'm just gonna tell him that we agree with that, because I'm pretty sure there's nothing else to add to this.
That's probably the best change you could do to him. Like, at least the best quality of life change.
Yeah, best quality.
It would have more effect than just buffing his numbers by like 40 on Q.
Just
At
make
least
it
it's not-
instant.
No
Dude,
cast time.
the amount of times I've died during the alt channel is so frustrating.
Oh
The
yeah.
amount of times
Happened
they
twice to me on
flashed
stream
or
today.
healed during my Q channel is actually even worse, honestly. Oh, I got him! You're in the air, and as you're in the air, they flash away. They still take damage and get silenced, but they're 1 kilometer away, so you're like, damn. It's
Not
so
only
the
that-
reason the reason it had a cast time is because it was a 2.5 second silence. They said it had too much power to not have a cast time. But it's been nerfed so much since then. It's only at 1.5 second silence. They should just make it instant.
Not only that, but because of the delay, and because certain characters are allowed to buffer abilities, there are situations where I silence a Kha'Zix while he buffered his W and Q during his jump, which he jumped during the animation of Q, so he still gets to use W and Q after being silenced. Those kind of interactions ruin the impact of his ability.
That's true.
It basically makes it so the silence doesn't exist.
I really, really agree with this. Another
Yeah.
offender is Gnar, where you can silence him while he's in the air, but he can still ult at the end of his jump, even though he's silenced in air because he gets to buffer the ability. I really like want to emphasize that I think that silence is like one of the weakest forms of crowd control because of buffering. It's really, really crazy. Like there's several things that they could do to improve the quality, but you know, and of course buffering abilities is something that's hardwired into the game, so it's not going to be an easy solution. But they really need to just assess that Garen's silence isn't a monster of an ability compared to Camille's E, which is embedded in her mobility ability, and of course not only does it stop you from moving, but it also stops you from attacking as well. So while you're silenced, you can still move. You can still click Thresh's Lantern. You know, you could still, you know, possibly escape. It's crazy.
Couldn't they attach like a 0.1 second stun to his Q, and then it would
Yeah,
like stop
something like
dashes
that.
midair? I guess it would be really awkward because you'd be like running, and then it would cancel your movement commands.
Yeah,
You
but
got
honestly,
hit by it.
think about fucking Trundle's Q. Doesn't that do it? Like, you're actually 99%
No,
slow
it just slows. Yeah, it just slows you.
Yeah, but why not? Why not Garen? Isn't it?
Well, it wouldn't help, like, because they'd still buffer it. Like, the stun would actually stop them from dashing midway. You know,
I
like
think
how
honestly something
if
like that
LB
should
goes
be
through
fine.
Vega Cage.
I would honestly like something like that. I agree with you.
Or even something like York's Miasma. You know, you guys know York's E, I think, where if you successfully land it, it gives him bonus movement speed only towards the people who have been affected by his morning mist. Even something like that would be so cool. Like, even if that was like a villain exclusive thing, the ability to Q somebody, and yes, they flash away, but you got that bonus movement speed so you can help close the gap. That would be so appreciated too.
That's a rune, though, isn't it?
What? What?
That's a rune. What rune is it? Approach
Oh
velocity.
yeah, approach velocity. But I think that's only movement impaired. You would have
Oh,
to
okay,
take
it doesn't count.
movement.
Alright. I thought it was like cheap shot.
Okay,
Wait,
so
what,
we
some
actually have
silence?
a little bit more questions here. Hi, I posted this in Marine's Twitch chat. What about giving Garen bonus damage or a little buff after removing or blocking CC? This can be done by timing W or using Q properly. Not just using it every time is off CD and using W every time you're going in a team fight. Trying to keep this idea of learned timing in League as basic champion based on getting rewards for playing well. Not just go in without knowing what you're doing. Basically use Q or W as well, so your ENR gets to get a boost. Honestly, I think this kind of goes towards the whole argument Marine had of if other champions do something properly, like Fiora W or Fiora Q into the Vital, those kind of things, they get a reward.
Nocturne, yeah.
Yeah, I think this should probably have some sort of expression in Garen. Like I don't remember if it was you, Adam, or someone else suggested perhaps Garen could get slow resistance after cleansing a slow, you know, and perhaps more slow resistance based upon how intense the slow was. Like if you cancel the Darius 90% slow, you would actually get 90% slow resistance, something like that. I think that would not be broken and would probably add a little bit more reward to probably, like, because the slow cleansing part of Garen No one knows about it, and you'd be surprised about. I have a lot of friends or people that I've met during ranked games who are like, "Yeah, man, you're pretty good as Garen. I'm actually surprised. I don't see a lot of good Garen players like this and like that." And then you get, I'm like, "Yeah," because I remember this actually was a very long time ago, 1 year ago or something like that. I was like, "Well, they buffed him," and it's like, "Oh, really? They buffed Garen? Really? Oh, I didn't know. Didn't even notice. Like until I saw you using him, I didn't even know." Wait, you mean, wait, his W actually gives him 60% tenacity for the first 0.75? Damn, dude, I didn't know that. Like, this is just, there is a form of skill expression in Garen. It's just so not rewarding that people don't notice, even if you're doing well. They just don't notice.
It helps if people don't know what you do. Like,
True, but it doesn't help when your teammates don't know that. You know, they don't notice that something crazy is happening. You know, oh wow, that guy cleansed the slow and now he's actually capable of running towards people. Like, why not just? It doesn't sound like something broken. They could do it. I'm not saying that Garen needs a riposte like Fiora. I'm not saying that if he blocks something with W, then he returns to the attacker. But maybe if you successfully block something with W, you extend the duration of the 60% tenacity. How about that?
Actually, that's not bad. No, they have it for Nocturne as well. Nocturne gains attack speeds.
Like,
when he
why
blocks
not
the
do
spell
it for
shots,
Garen as
so.
well? I think this is probably
Sivir restores mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sivir's got actually a free ability that restores mana and blocks a spell.
Yeah, but her spell costs are based on that ability.
True,
she has really high Q.
True.
ProJazz just said this boost could be the villain passive, not RNG anymore.
Perhaps.
How?
Like,
wait, so if you block a CC, they become the villain?
That would probably be super fucking broken, but...
Imagine if the enemy
the might of Demacia?
You dare CC Garen? Now you get punished by Demacia.
Now you actually have 100% tenacity. Nobody CC Garen, you'll be the villain.
Oh, also, there's something that I wanted to discuss with you guys so badly, and honestly, let's interrupt answering questions for these few minutes because I want to discuss this. Garen W doesn't get the tenacity boost because it removes clarity from the game. Like, honestly, Mettler, whoever is listening to this, whoever's gonna listen to this, that is clean bullshit. Because League of Legends and skill levels in this game have always been based upon unwritten things about abilities and stuff like that. Things like Riven's animation cancelling is not written anywhere, and yet back when I was starting to play, I was actually fucking surprised at Riven's one-shotting me with auto-attack. So I was like, when did she auto-attack me? Or Tryndamere being able to ult when he's CC'd. Is that written anywhere? It's not. If I'm looking into Tryndamere, I will not know that he's capable of doing that. Clarity is not League's strong point. So don't give us that you're not allowing Garen to get 85% tenacity because he's capable of reaching 100% and thus becoming unstoppable. Because that's just bullshit. At that point, and I'm actually quoting Adam here, just remove the tenacity altogether, make it 100% immunity for 0.75 seconds, write it in the tooltip, and there's your clarity. There you go. That's all the clarity you
I don't know if it'd be OP though, because you'd be immune to knockups, but...
Then make it just 100% tenacity. Just write it. 100% tenacity. Fuck you. We don't care. Like, that's just that's clarity for you. That's clarity for you. Like, if clarity is the problem, just change the numbers.
Yeah,
and make
honestly,
it clear.
What's the difference? If you're gonna do 85, you might as well do 100. Like.
Exactly. But don't don't remove the buff for that reason. That reason is bad. It's just bad because League is filled with unwritten things and secret interactions in the game that are super cool and that define your knowledge. You know, that define your ability as a player to know more about your foe, about the game. The League is filled with that. It's actually a positive thing about League, but then you use it as an excuse to not buff Garen and just give him 10 more armor and magic resistance per level.
Yeah. Forget about the shitty excuse. The problem is they took away an early game buff and then gave him like a late game buff.
That's also a huge problem. But I wanted to hear Risti and Marine's opinion on this whole excuse that Meddler had, because I think it's an excuse, nothing more.
I think that he's just off base. That's basically, I just feel like Fiora has immunity for the same duration, including true damage, and the additional like 15% damage reduction that Garen wouldn't have. The only trade-off is she can't move during it, but in return for that, she gets to reflect the CC back onto people if she manages to avoid one. So I feel like that's already like a ridiculous amount of power blown into one ability that also, by the way, has a shorter cooldown than Garen W.
Yep.
For that reason, I feel like Garen's self-only, not even full damage reduction and immunity to CC is more than fair.
You see,
I think it was a knee-jerk reaction to Bronzy comments who don't even know how long that lasts.
Yeah, it's 0.75.
There were a bunch of people who were like in the Reddit thread about the PBE buff. They were like, "Oh my god, 85%, so broken, OP champ," and then people were like, "It's only 0.75 seconds," and then that same guy would reply, "Lol, never mind, that's trash."
It's a 24-second cooldown as well at rank 1. So
Yeah, and you don't rank it up until level 13, so it's not like it's going to scale. It just doesn't.
13? But that means you're
14.
maxing at second though.
No, 14. Well, I meant 13 is like you don't start scaling it up ever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
what I meant to say. My bad. But you know that's the one thing we have. And what about you, Risti?
Well, it's difficult for me to say because I've also been paying close attention to what Riot is doing with their game state in terms of changing champions. I mean, let's take a look at mid lane. We have some significant mid lane changes where they're trying to not make wave clear as powerful. And the recent changes around, I think, targeted around Lux, they want to set a new trend with their balance and deal with wave clear in a way that it's healthier in terms of counterplay. So I'm not going to get into the full spectrum, but the thing is, they've had the game one way, and now they're trying to slowly correct what they did in the past because that was the norm, right? How a new mid lane champion couldn't even be viable unless that champion had wave clear. Like for example, if Galio's Q didn't do any damage to minions, chances are we wouldn't be seeing Galio mid lane. And yes, you did bring up a very good point, AMSat, about there's so much hidden type of depth to all these champions. But the question that does arise to me when I'm thinking about that is, does Riot want to keep the game in that way, or do they want to bring more transparency to it? If Riot does prevent Garen from getting that 100% tenacity, or that window where like, oh, well, he just brings the middle finger out to any type of CC for 0.75 seconds, do they want to bring that in as a agreement to, yeah, maybe we are right, maybe this could be a hidden thing that Garen mains could practice on, and then if the other players in the game don't pick up on it and they get punished for it because they didn't study Garen enough, that's on them. But maybe they are trying to turn over a new leaf with the transparency, which does make me skeptical to say, are they going to bring that out, or are they trying to turn over that new leaf with Garen? No, it may not just be the wave clear. Maybe they are going to like stop putting all these new hidden things in. Maybe we're not going to get another Riven, so to speak. It's difficult to say what Riot's going to do in the future. I see your
point.
So,
I have to admit, I kind of see your point. But and also, like for example, another example, and then we can actually move on to the next question. Is like Fiora has like, I remember when I watched the Irelia Champion Spotlight when Freak said Irelia uses her ult and then she disarms, which is kind of a new mechanic. That kind of refers to Fiora. Fiora's W actually disarms you. Does it say that it does? No, nowhere. Does it say that it's a disarm? Does it have an icon on the champion when you get disarmed by Fiora's W? No, you're just clicking on her and you don't know why the fuck your champion is not auto-attacking. This has been a problem for a long time. It is.
It's attack speed slow.
No, you stop attacking altogether. You just stop.
Well, it is
just
an attack speed slow, but it's so strong that when you're playing Garen, it does feel like you can't attack.
Like it's incredible.
It's a 50% attack speed slow,
which is huge.
Yeah, well, for Garen, that means it takes you like 2 seconds to auto attack.
Yeah, but you can still use your Q, so it's not a disarm.
Well, you can still use your Q when you're disarmed as well.
No, you can't, can you?
I
It's
think
supposed
you
to
can.
stop any auto attacks. I don't think you can.
You can activate the move speed, but you
Yeah,
can't
you can't.
apply it, right?
Okay, I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Then that's my bad. Okay, so we have another question from Dangerized453. If you were to take power out of the villain mechanic, what would you like to be buffed in exchange? This is actually hard. I'm gonna let you guys answer this first, and I'll think about my own ideas, because honestly, I'm not sure.
I mean, I want to say E, but I think if you buff E, it's still going to be useless. So probably Q or like base R or something.
I don't know. What about you guys? Gosh, this guy got us speechless.
Like you have to buff Q. Like his other abilities or W. You can't like
Wait.
E. I don't know what you buff E on. Like,
I think
What was the
E
question again?
could be
I think my call cut out. I didn't hear the question. What was the question?
If you were to take power out of the villain mechanic, what would you like to be buffed in exchange?
I would like to see the percentage HP mechanic removed entirely from the E and Q auto attacks. And what I would like to see is either a reward for ulting the villain, or just flat number buff to his spin damage. But that's what I think.
I can see that. I can see the reason for that, actually.
I think his
Yeah,
E is just trash, dude. His E is just so unusable. Like if you take power out of his kit and you put it somewhere else, like it's got to be put into E because it's garbage.
but then
like
it still will be garbage. So that's the problem.
I love joking about this on stream, and it's kind of like a saddest thing almost. I really feel like when I'm like level 1, I always have to take Q. Every single Garen takes Q level 1, because if you take spin level 1, it's like the enemy top laner is taking a shower, right? They're like in their shower cap and like, oh, I'm face taking Garen's spin level 1. Hey, I'm auto attacking him and I'm doing more damage than his spin. It's absolutely crazy.
They could
His
just
level 1
increase
spin
the number of
damage is
spins
absurd.
from level 1 and straight on, you know? Remove the level 16 increase and just make it get 10 spins on level 13. I actually think that would be a pretty big buff, honestly.
You know what I think? I think they should disable you from being able to put points in E until level 4, because it's not worth anything until then. And when the Q buff is going
Basically.
live, so I will only be going QWQ now.
Really,
What?
but like just for wave clear even, like to prep
No, it
minions
sucks.
and
You
stuff.
can't wave
It
clear.
sucks.
You're actually destroying
No,
your
not to
CS.
wave clear, to prep it. So if you're under tower, you prep it, or like.
Oh yeah,
I'll
you
just-
can do that. You can do that.
I'll just not.
Oh,
I
if you
won't
just-
need
if
to.
you just
I
actually
won't need
just-
to prep it
You
because
just
the
kill
Q
them.
damage will be
We actually
higher.
just got 5 more comments. We actually just got 5 more comments in 2 minutes. Okay. Okay. So honestly, I agree. This is my turn here. I honestly agree. I think we could remove the percentage max HP damage from E and Q and auto attacks in general, and just put that power somewhere else, and then also add a reward for properly ulting the villain. I think this is probably a good way to, like, if you ult the villain, then you get permanently increased damage. I get that champion for the rest of the game, something like that. It could be. I think that could probably work, something like that. Just remove the power from the basic damage, you know, auto attacks, Q and E, and add some actual, increase the number of spins early on E, and maybe give it a reward if you kill the villain. I'm gonna actually write this answer.
Yeah, Bounty Hunter used to be a mastery last season, right?
We
Why
have
not make it
another-
a fair thing?
We have more people asking for Super MOBA to be unbanned.
Where? Is it on my stream or yours?
It's on the AMA.
No, it's really
Mova's-
strange
It's Mova's
because
friends
he's
now.
on my Discord, and he behaves like an angel, except for his references, his Islamic references. That's
Yeah, praise Allah and all that shit that he says.
Well, I mean,
Mashallah.
those are memes, aren't they? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, in my server, I like the way his attitude is just honestly great on my server. Like
Like,
all he
claims
does,
the ego.
yeah, but like all he does is point out you're fucking gold 5. It's not an insult. It's true. You know what's wrong with that? If you don't care, because the people on my Discord say that they don't care about elo, but if you don't care, then why are you so mad when I point out that you're a gold 5 player? I don't see the problem.
But doesn't have much of a filter, and that's something that's embedded in a lot of human beings.
True enough.
That's
True enough.
essentially who my father is, but yeah, that's
What the hell?
Yeah.
You're just lying, Risty. Knowing you, I cannot believe that what you just said is true. This is just a flat out lie.
I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah.
No, don't. But
Garen's your father? Is that what you said?
What?
No.
What? I heard something totally different. Never mind.
Garen's your father.
Yeah.
So that makes you the
Yeah,
son
my
of
daddy,
Katarina,
alright.
the illegitimate son of Anoxian and the Demacian. Okay, so the next question is, what do you guys think Garen needs in his kit to be accepted as a viable pick? Is it changes to just one ability, his whole kit, his base stats, or is it something different? I think we actually answered
Define
this
viable
one.
though.
Huh?
Sorry.
Define
You have
viable.
to define viable. Is it like LCS viable or just like
I think
Challenger
solo
viable?
queue. I think solo queue viable.
Yeah,
honestly.
probably not LCS. That's probably never going to be Garen's. Let's say solo queue.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's solo queue viable now, but only to a degree. Like,
But only if you're like a dude. We all dedicate so many hours. Like, is he viable for somebody to just pick up who's already a diamond player and like try to add Garen to the roster without just losing 20 games in a row? I don't think so. I don't think he's solo queue viable for somebody who's not already an expert.
True, I agree. It's like viable if you're a one-trick pony who has a very straight build path that's peculiar in nature, because Tri-Gauge is not intuitive. People think, Garen, lots of AD, lots of ticks of physical damage, must build Black Cleaver. That's what people think when they think of Garen. Anyone will probably build like that, you know? Only people who go balls to the walls are either YouTubers who do it for the clickbait, or us, because we know that this is the only way to actually solo carry.
yeah, Riot refused to change the recommended items. Like, they just leave it as cleaver into tank.
They don't know what they don't know anything about. It's like they don't know what Garen does.
No, they said they leave it like that because they want it to be like the beginner champ, so they don't
But
make
that's
it.
dumb as sh- Alright, but why is Ash's recommended item section actually make her strong? I don't get it. This is so crazy, dude. This is what makes me crazy, because this just shows that Riot is capable of making champions that are easy but viable. Why can't it be the same for Garen? They're capable of doing that. They've proven themselves more than once. But nope. Whatever.
I think there's a champion. I forget what was the company, Tencent, that owns Riot Games. They own another MOBA that has a very similar champion to Garen, and that champion.
Is that Arthur?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's very similar to Garen, and he actually is picked viably, and they found a way to make him work. I mean, I really feel like if they dedicated enough time to Garen, the issue is Garen isn't that popular of a champion, so their time is limited when it comes to balancing him. So it's all a matter of time, but they definitely could accomplish it. I believe in Riot Games.
But you've seen that champion, right? Sorry, you've seen that champion, like in that game, or wherever it is, the MOBA one. His ult is a gap close, his Q is a gap close, his ult is a knock up, and his W is spin, but he can auto at the same time. So it's just better Garen.
Super broken. Yeah, they would never work in League.
Yeah, that would not work in League. That would be too much.
Actually, it would work in League if he was a new character, but because he's Garen,
Yeah,
he's
probably.
not allowed.
Imagine, yeah, actually true. Imagine if they actually did something like this to Garen. The reaction in Reddit, in the boards, it would just turn into a riot, actual riot.
I can dig that.
Lamau. Let me just take a look at the next question then. They are changing Last Whisper items to penetrating. Actually, did we actually answer the question? Like, what would we
discussed it already.
change? What would we change to make him viable?
We discussed it, but we didn't answer it. Let's
Yeah.
just make it real simple. We'll keep it concise.
I think, honestly, the thing that changes make his W an actual ability that rewards you incredibly if properly used. Like, I think W reward for using properly should be incredible. It should be way better than just, oh, damage, disable reduced. Thumbs up, but you're still getting stun locked, so you're not going to kill me. So, doesn't really matter what you've just done. Good job, though. You know, it's
Wait,
cool.
are we
but-
talking about the Last Whisper change?
No. What do you guys think about Garen? Is it changes to just one ability, his whole kit, his base stats, or is it something different?
I think
honestly, just this W should be a bigger reward. You reduce the disable, get actual tenacity, like cleanse. Make something like that happen, or extend the duration of the tenacity.
I think
it
you
has
can.
to be something personal power related. I mean, you can even see how solo queue players are trending and what they would prefer in the game. And this is a big discussion too. People think that the game can't be 1v9 carried anymore. So when it comes to an attractive champion in solo queue, and especially like high elo streamers, which also influence the low elo streamers, it definitely comes full circle. You definitely want champions with a lot of personal power that have influence over the game. We probably want to gear Garen away from like team oriented buffs, right? Like the armor shred, AoE applied, giving Garen more personal power. So either that dictates playmaking potential or even oppression over a lane if he gets ahead. It has to be something related to that. Otherwise, people are just not going to be interested. If we're going to have Riot Games cater, oh yeah, you can be such a great team player. Well, the thing is, nobody's really enjoying team play in solo queue right now. It's like we're all fighting with each other, trying to get over an objective.
Yeah,
That's
honestly,
my input, at least.
I have to agree. Okay, I'm gonna add this to the answer. We can actually go on and answer ElectroHelal, who's actually the person that makes my thumbnails. He's a god. Honestly, yeah, let's just answer his question.
I'm gonna mute myself for a few minutes, but I'm still talking.
Okay, that's fine.
Or I'm still listening.
Okay, that's fine. They are changing Last Whisper items to penetrating turtle armor again. What do you think about that? Will it change for the better of the worse? Will more RPen Garen builds be good again? You guys can start answering that while I post the answer to the text answer.
Like I said, it's indirect Garen buff because he has bonus armor already. So
I actually, if you press F5, I actually said that. I just went ahead and replied with that to that guy.
Oh,
thought it was an indirect Garen buff.
Oh,
and because Garen makes
it means I don't have to write that. That's nice.
Like, do you remember when you used to go Ghostblade Last Whisper? Like,
yeah.
Was it season 4 or 5? Yeah. Like it was like 5k gold for 2 items, and they were just so good.
Yeah, they were really
So, like,
strong together.
Like maybe Triforce Last Whisper will be really good now.
Well, I mean,
maybe just Last Whisper first item. I don't know.
Last Whisper actually buffs the Sheen proc on towers too.
Well,
Hey.
would that work
Just
well
buff
with
Sheen.
Garen Q and IE as well as Sheen proc? Imagine Duskblade.
They're actually making a new item like Duskblade. They said it's like it empowers like your first few hits in combat.
But probably designed for ADCs or anyway fast auto attacker champions like Shin.
I imagine it must be maybe ADCs and assassins because it seems
and maybe
based
now
on
that they
assassins
look into
too.
the fucking Zeal items, they could fix the fucking static shift bug with Garen's Q. A man
it
can
doesn't matter.
dream.
That's a minor bug. They need to fix the spin bug, cancelling your movement, and they need to fix Q not working on traps.
But dude, now the Still Agent Garen, which is the skin that nobody uses on Garen anymore ever since Warring Kingdoms came out, the villain thing is now on top of the right position, you know. So
I can't believe they spent their time fixing that.
And adding,
and then
dude,
Garen
the
still doesn't
cracking.
walk it properly in replays.
And then Garen actually cracks the ground when he lands. He shatters the ground below himself when he lands from Q. That's a recent addition, but dude,
I don't understand.
fixing bugs, you have to be an ADC player to get your bugs fixed. Only way we fix bugs is if you're an ADC.
You know, it's sad because I messaged them and they even replied saying we'll fix it, but they didn't do anything.
What the fuck? Okay, they lied. We can quote Hashinshin here and say that they lie. Dude. Alright, let's continue. We're actually receiving more and more comments. Oh my god, we're actually probably gonna have to continue. Unbanned Super MOBA. This is Maz. Hold on, I'm gonna answer to this one myself. Hold on.
Super MOBA meme will never die. He's joined everyone else's channel, it's actually funny. Oh, Discord, sorry.
I don't think he joined mine.
No.
He's on mine, and I honestly want him on mine, so...
Are you sure he didn't join yours?
If he did...
Not yet, no.
Yeah, he's not mine.
Alright, let's continue to see here. Trader should die. Okay, Running Manjo. I personally think that Garen's Q should have more of a movement speed buff like a mini Righteous Glory or Volley's Q. I'm not sure if that would be a little too overloaded, however. I honestly think they could revert it back to 35% at the very least. Like, honestly, it's a speed buff. What's the problem if it's a little faster? I think none.
You know, I prefer the 5 base move speed back.
Yeah, either that or Q movement speed buff. Honestly, Volibear, gets to fucking displace you, then slow you, AoE, and then his Q movement speed buff gives him 65% movement speed, and it's a fling. A fling that's a lot better than silence.
Hey guys, I just have to mention the new Infinity Edge. Have you guys seen it yet?
It does true damage, right?
Well,
Big enough
okay.
for Garen's W.
There's a thing called Storm Razor. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's what I.
That's a keystone, isn't it? Or...
It's
No,
an item.
no, it's not a keystone. The
65 AD,
Alright.
25% attack speed. Unique passive. If you haven't attacked in the last 2.5 seconds, your next basic attack will critically strike. We could get a guaranteed crit.
Oh no, the Garen Q crit's coming back.
Oh hell
Sword,
yeah!
if you have
dude.
sword, pickaxe, dagger, 65 AD, 25% attack speed. If you haven't attacked in the last 2.5
And
seconds.
when you critically strike, you get 8% move speed for 1.5
Oh my
seconds.
god.
Garen Q crit's coming back.
Oh my
It's really-
god. Yeah, but like you don't need the critical strike chance at that point if your first auto attack is a fucking guaranteed strike.
Yeah, wait, that's actually nuts.
But it's
How-
crazy on
they
champions.
can't leave it like that.
But it's crazy on champions who reload. Like I don't know, Jin or Graves. Jin is actually broken with this. Okay, well honestly,
I don't know, dude.
I
need to check that out now.
I think this could probably be awesome.
I don't think it would go through like that though.
If it does though, dude. If it does. Oh man. we can hope.
Where are you reading this, by the way? Like, they just
someone
propose
posted
changes, they
Someone
don't have
posted
stats.
this on his chat.
alright.
Do we think? Okay, so just to talk about the Q crit real quick, Xianji is that Diamond 1 Garen main. He thinks that crit is awful. He says crit is awful on Garen. Neither Sheen or the Q neither Sheen or the Q portion can crit, and that he doesn't believe that it would be worth it for just your basically what's your attack damage critting on top of like the Q and Sheen
Honestly,
damage.
if your Q crits, it's honestly insane.
I
Why?
think
It's
I
more
think
than
Q
Sheen,
is
though, so...
It's a lot.
I think
of
Q is
more.
his best ability. I think it's where his most reliable damage is, and it's his upfront, and it's his mobility.
If you crit, it does more than a Sheen proc as well, because
It's
it's
a
doing
lot,
all your
and
base
it's
AD doubled,
guaranteed.
plus the bonus AD
Yeah, it's
doubled.
guaranteed. Like, sure, you don't get to destroy towers at the same speed, but honestly, what the hell?
I mean, I don't know. I don't see a scenario where like a free crit on Q is ever a bad thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
You
you,
can
get
just-
movement speed after, dude. You get movement speed, dude. That's insane. You get fucking Storm Raiders for free.
And you
of
can
course.
you can follow it up with Infinity Edge, and then since your E is, your E supports crit too. Like a free crit into Q with guaranteed move speed might make your E more reliable. I think it sounds like a great item.
I don't think I'd buy Infinity Edge. I think I'd go like get that item that crits guaranteed, and then try Force
Yeah,
Sterak.
honestly, yes. Insane single target damage. Just like
Maybe
Triforce,
even
but better.
Triforce. I might even go Triforce into that item
Yeah,
instead.
probably,
Yeah, that's what I was
do
thinking
that.
as well.
Triforce and then straight into that item, and it's basically probably better than Tri-Gauge. Minus
Yeah,
the
like
HP.
IE is not worth it, because you're doing 50% more crit damage, but like you're wasting the 20% crit, because it's only working on your spin really.
Yeah, I agree. Because your Q is guaranteed anyway, so you're not really
Yeah.
using that.
Well, not really, because think about that. If you have low crit chance and you're getting your guaranteed crit on Q, you're not using up any of your RNG of that 20%. You're not wasting any of that on the Q now. Now that 20% is 100% dedicated to your spin. So you're like guaranteed 2 crits on spin.
Yeah,
I don't know. It
Every
doesn't
10
seem worth it
secs.
though, to compare to like Triforce and Sterak's,
yeah.
which
I
actually
think,
have
like, if
HP
you
as
want
well.
to, yeah.
I mean, you get high AD on
And
IE
if
as
Sterak
well. I mean,
stays,
we'll talk
yeah.
about it. We'll talk about it later,
Yeah,
but
if
Yeah.
Sterak stays actually powerful in terms of HP, you might actually still get that. I mean, honestly, this looks like a decent thing for Garen. But let's continue with the questions because we have more. I personally think that Garen Q should. Okay, we already answered this one. We think it could change, but you know, it's not necessarily a huge deal. It could be a nice improvement. Let's go ahead. My friend actually asks, how about instead of EC being just an active or a charge ability, what if it was a toggle that you can't abuse for Trinity Force? And it stays as a simple spell to learn for new players that you can just press it and it does the same as right now, but also help these new players understand new mechanics like tech resets and have more skill cap with being a better skill for more advanced players. Honestly, I think this is probably just broken. If you could spin forever, like if I get what you mean by toggle, I think it's just not possible to make it like that. Like I'm gonna probably write this as the answer. Like, we need to know
The
more
only
about
way
what
it could be
means
balanced
toggle.
as a toggle is if it had like an innate. It would have to have like a charge system again, where like you could toggle it for so many seconds at one time, but there would have
Maybe.
to be like a period in between where like you couldn't use it at all.
Yeah, like a longer cooldown, like 12 seconds, like prior to Juggernaut.
It would have to be
Rework.
like Swain alt, like huge cooldown, where you just can't reactivate it. And it would have to, you know what I mean? And you'd still be able to kite out of it, and you still wouldn't be able to auto attack during it. So like, what if your Q comes back up? And if you are, that cancels spin too. I don't think it would work, honestly, with this kit.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. I agree.
Oh, sorry, Adam. I'm not supposed to put you as Adam J. Reformed.
Doesn't matter, man. Doesn't matter.
It's a mixture of the two names.
Combines the two. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna answer this. Not terrible. Why are you still laughing?
It's not that funny.
Sorry, I'm a little stoned, so you know. Everyone's way.
Adam J. Reformed. It's like hybridizing the two names.
Yeah.
It's like.
Well, I was like, is he Adam J or is he Adam Reformed? I think I couldn't make up my mind.
And then I don't know if you've played Bioshock Infinite, and you're like, he's both. And then you're gonna drown him. Right now, you just gotta smother him in his carp, like smother. All right, that was a pretty fucking great jump, honestly.
Dude, I'm looking at the Reddit post, right? I've never seen this many Garen flares in my life.
Come on, man, we have a lot of players in the Discord server.
It's just funny.
Would probably, okay, I'm gonna answer my friend here, would probably not be viable for Garen's current kit, considering he relies and R for proper target access and burst damage. What are your thoughts on Wukong? Honestly, I've
It's
played
dog shit.
One of the only matchups Garen wins.
It's
one
like
of the only
Irelia.
matchup Garen wins, and we didn't mention it before because because it's not very common. But honestly, Garen has basically the same damage output as Wukong's ult on a single on his E, and his E sucks. So that kind of goes to show that Wukong is in a bad position right now.
Yeah, I think Risti said Wukong's even easier than Irelia.
Yeah, he probably is.
Because like the stealth doesn't work at all. Because Q will still land on you even if you stealth if the animation starts. And then E obviously is AoE. So it doesn't matter if you stealth. I can just, you know, kind of guess where you're going.
Okay. I'm gonna say
Wukong is a champ about mind games.
Yeah.
Garen's point and click, so he just beats him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, Garen Z has a similar damage output to Wukong Zar, and Garen Z sucks right now, so putting that together shows why Wukong is not in a good position. Also, Garen is a point and click champion, whilst Wukong
Plus, you can just negate his burst. Like,
relies on
W.
outplay. So Garen just wins the matchup there. Let me just actually add a point and click champion with a higher damage output than Wukong, because like if we talk about point and click, then Garen should just win every matchup, which is not the case.
no, but it's like Irelia. They have no true damage, no in combat sustain. You just win. Yeah, that's it. No true
They
damage.
have
in
no
combat
way to
sustain.
outplay your abilities.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Irelia can
remember-
no, she can block your ult and block your Q.
Well, yeah, that's true, but it's easy to play around that. And you can dodge the Q damage pretty easily. Like, you just... If you spin... I find with, like, anything that's, like, a targeted skill shot like that, like a cone, I find if you just spin on top of them, and then you just dodge out of their hitbox when you anticipate what direction their skill shot's going to go in.
Okay, so let's go ahead with another question. Danger Critter asks, for a silly offensive build, would you use lethality or crit? Nickname Mai actually answered this already. If you want a silly build, go boots and combine IE and ER. There you have your super silly build. I honestly would leave this answer as the answer.
Really? I think Triforce Infinity Edge is like the silly build.
Weedzard.
Or Weedzard,
Dude,
yeah.
honestly,
Weedzard
you
is the silly
serious?
build.
Weedzard. I'm gonna just Weedzard Garen
Yeah, but
is
Weeds is the silly build, but it works. Like,
Yeah.
is the thing,
So
and it's
Sork
actually
Shoes, Cleaver.
valuable. And it's actually viable. Win games. Can actually honestly, Marine? Can you answer this one yourself?
Yeah.
You know, with the Wizard game, because honestly, this is your field of
Here,
expertise.
well, since you have the account here, I'm gonna message you my answer, and then you can put so we have our official one.
But yeah, but like you can still, isn't it the same if you answer? Because like I've seen you answering quite a few questions.
I have, but here I'm already typing it to you.
Okay,
So
that's
hold on.
perfect. That's perfect. I'll just copy paste. FNC lose. I remember when I was just level 30 a few years ago that I liked to play Trinity Sunfire Garen. How troll is that build? In my mind, it made sense since the Q procs the Sheen and he gets the extra movement speed bonus to help me with the spin to win. Honestly, this guy is actually
ahead of the curve.
This guy is ahead of the curve. Well said, man. I'm gonna honestly quickly copy paste the Wizard build all 1 second. But like he's ahead of the curve. Silly, and it's actually viable to win games. Let me just the silly build for silly masters. The silly build, silly masters of magic, masters of
silly
magic, man.
Masters of Weed.
Masters of Weed, which is basically magic.
I'm pretty sure I had like just smoked like a super fat ball. Where I was like, okay, what's good with Sork Shoes?
Dude, I'm gonna get demonetized. I'm gonna get demonetized now. Alright, so let me answer FNC. You were ahead of the curve. There.
Wait, did you stop with the Wits End thing? Are you still doing it now and again?
Oh, Weed's End?
Just
That's
trash.
pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
You were ahead of the curve there. Remove the Sunfire and add in Sterak, which probably didn't exist back when you were level 30.
No, he said a few years ago.
Yeah, didn't exist back then. Actually, hold on. Sterak is not that new anymore. Add in Sterak. Honestly, I forget that Season 5 was 3 years ago.
You know what's funny? I still prefer the old Sterak that was weaker. Because
Yeah.
it was cheaper.
And add in Sterak, and you obtained the legit best Garen build. There
Sterak is
right
like
now,
two
and
years ago.
I'm not trolling. And we're not trolling. Okay, Papillon actually asked a question that I'm looking forward to answer. What's the most frustrating part of Garen for all of you? Like being in a game and complaining like, if I at least had this, if I at least was a bit different, what would it be? This is honestly, like, it's a lovable question. Because like, for me, the most upsetting part about Garen is when I get to you, but you get either shielded or you flash while I'm using my Q channel. You just get away, even though I had to be very, very smart and good to get to you, and I don't get any form of reward for that. That's when I tilt. That's what tilts me.
I tilt when my bot lane loses. Coin flip. No,
Okay, so
it's probably
I
just gonna be
tilt-
like missing kills with ults because they flash or something.
I
Yeah.
tilt against any ranged heroes. I hate ranged heroes, and I hate Janna.
Janna, man.
Everyone hates
500
Janna,
damage
so-
on W, dude. But they nerfed her, man. Stop complaining already. They nerfed Janna, dude.
Janna, Lulu, and ranged heroes. That's what gets on my nerves.
Hold on, I'm gonna actually split this apart. Is Risti here now? Is he actually talking again?
He's
'Cause I think
still
he
muted
is.
for the time being.
Oh, okay. Then I'm going to answer with our 3 answers. I tilt when I get to you, get to someone, and still...
What about Darius?
Oh?
Does Darius tilt you?
Nah, Darius doesn't tilt me. You can beat him.
It's just you can't snowball like. You
That's-
can beat him, but you can't beat him early, so you can't snowball. So you just lose. Just coin flip.
Coin flip. Yeah, but you can still do more than he does, I think. Like, I think there are games in which Garen is just better than Darius. Those games, I feel like I'm happier to be a Garen main.
Take back your Take back your hate for Janna, you fucko. Nah, dude, you can eat dicks. Janna's a suck-ass hero.
Honestly, honestly, let me just quote MOBA here. Janna's a fucking eagle champion. Bullshit.
That character has been top of the meta every single season.
Forever. She's been the best support for fucking ever.
Yeah, do you remember that post that said Janna being the best support is like Garen being the best top laner?
What? No,
The equivalent.
I did.
No.
What? Someone needs. Someone...
Because she's so simple. She's
Oh,
like,
okay, I see what
oh,
you're saying.
I see. Oh, I see.
I thought you meant that like they were equal and,
Yeah.
and like in power now.
I was
It's the
starting to
equivalent
think.
of
I was
Garen
starting to
being the
think
best top.
Adam is actually.
Yeah, you're
turning
right.
into a
Yeah, you're right
monster.
about that.
You're right. It's exactly the same. But hey, Garen is easy to play, so he can't be best. But then Janna's easy to play, and she can be best because. But dude, Riot wouldn't be able to sell the game, or basically have the e-girls play if Janna wasn't this good. So they would lose an entire portion of fans because Janna's got a fucking 17% pick rate.
Oh, can you
Dude,
please
I think
add
play Lulu instead.
for my answer for what's frustrating? Can you please add an asterisk? I also can't stand when people ping my Sork shoes.
And Sheen.
Alright, I'm gonna say for myself, I tilt when I get to someone and I still don't get rewarded by killing them due to extreme self-peel or just shields. Then it's Marine. Marine is gonna have is gonna be I tilt when I tilt whenever I face any form of range uplane champion.
Lulu, Janna, or when people ping my Sork shoes.
Or I face Lulu, Janna, or
What about when they ping your Sapphire Crystal because you didn't finish your Sheen?
I just don't do it.
I
just don't buy it.
I don't do that.
Nah, I don't buy it either. It's garbage.
Yeah, but like,
You know,
oh,
one
really?
time I got first blood once, and I just went back and bought a Sapphire Crystal.
Dude, what the fuck, man? Just get a
Like, you know when you
Ruby
do this level 1 invades and you get a kill? It was like that. I just got a Sapphire Crystal.
Crystal. Oh my god, Adam. You crazy.
I moved on from the tilt. Whenever somebody pings my 3 rejuvenation beads, I just respond in chat, "Hey, dude, I'm collecting the Dragon Balls."
Yeah, I've seen you
Fuck
do that.
them. That's exactly how you fuck someone.
Wait,
who's bothering you.
wait, I did, like, look at the maths on that, by the way. Like, throwing shield's just better if you're taking damage.
Oh,
Okay, so,
you got my door.
Regen-wise, I mean, it's just
Adam,
it's just
what's
better.
your what tilts you? When I tilt whenever they ping my Sheen.
No one even pings anything anymore. I don't know, not much tilts me. Nah, that's about it. Like,
Actually, and or I face Star. Actually, now that I think about it, Marine, we're in the Discord moderators kind of server, and I honestly laugh at everybody's names in there. I play I play X champion for Y. I play X champion for Y. I don't know why I enjoy that so much. Like, I've read that guy. I play Quinn for the bird, or I play Syndra for the balls. Like, so many of those names are actually super funny. There's actually a few names in there that are that legitimately make me laugh. Okay, so Risti, what? Actually, I wanna know what tilts you, Risti. Is there anything that tilts you, that frustrates you?
Risti's like, hell no, I'm a robot.
Yeah, we're keeping this Garen related, right? Or are we talking about me in general?
No,
What tilts
Garen.
you as a Garen player?
As a Garen player, man.
All right, so yeah, I use the term tilt pretty loosely, but I think I'm gonna say this on behalf of all Garen players too. If you're, I experience this all the time. Like, I experience so many players that place the entire game's loss condition on the fact that there is a Garen on your team. I could be 5-0 and someone could call me a KDA player because I personally believe Garen doesn't have too many valuable deaths, and Garen's deaths are pretty punishing to begin with because if you die, you miss out on that chance to farm W stacks. And Garen doesn't really have like anything like Kog'Maw's passive where you're basically functioning after you're dead. So I don't know. I really feel like the thing that does like turn me off of my team so much is like saying, "Oh, well, we lost because we have a Garen. Didn't matter that we started Baron as 4 while I was pushing down bottom and the enemy team engaged because that's a good idea, you know." So I just really dislike players just placing the blame on Garen because he's just such an unconventional pick.
Yeah,
I
you're
can
like
go into
7
that
and
more, but I
0.
think
You're
we
right,
should
and
do
you
that.
die one time, they ping your Triforce or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
like I'm like,
They
personally
scam
when they do
again.
that, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now, dude? Are
Like,
you actually
I've seen it happen on
serious?
both of your streams. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
nuts.
It's crazy as shit. It's just stupid. I'm like, are you serious? I'm the only one who's not sucking dick right now, and I'm getting flamed by you. Okay, fair enough.
That is the most frustrating thing, dude. Especially the Sork shoes. Stop pinging my Sork shoes. Or, dude, like in all chat, people were like, haha, Garen, why do you have Sork shoes?
And then they feed you.
And then I
Yeah, I don't
flash
understand
QR,
that, though.
and then I'm like, alt damage, nerd.
No, but it's crazy. Like, these guys never played Garen and are like, go get Black Cleaver. What? Like, these guys have never actually played Garen before.
Yeah, because that's the one-way ticket to getting in the challenger. Oh boy.
Yeah, Rush Cleaver on Garen. Oh,
Alright.
why can't I win games?
But like, how do they think they know better? It's just...
And then there's Emperor Tiberius 8 who says, I don't have any questions, but I'm glad for this AMA. Only heard of Risti. We'll check the others out. Thank you, man. That's appreciated. I'm gonna write thanks.
Hi there, Emperor.
All of us. And this guy is a brand icon, so he's not even a Garen main. We're just talking about nice people here, man. Just kind of the Risti power, like positivity, attracting more positivity. It's like a magnet.
Hey, glad to be of service.
Yeah, man, honestly, that is pretty good. That's just props to you, man. Pickleize, does Garen feel satisfying to play regardless of his balancing state? AG, is it fun to whack someone with Q and spin all over them or using W to avoid massive burst CC? I'm gonna have to say yes. Like, even though lately I've hated Garen so much because of his status currently, these things that he's mentioned, and I'm surprised that he didn't mention that amazing feeling when the ult kills. But Garen still is satisfying to play. Like, I've got a clip on my YouTube channel that's private because it has a Pumped Up Kicks remix as music in the background. I've sent it to some of you. I think Marine watched it, and probably Adam as well. The one in which I one-shot the Ashe with the Pumped Up Kicks music in the background.
yeah.
Like, that is one of the most satisfying things you can do in the game, and there's no champion that does it the same way as Garen does. Like, my Q there dealt as much damage as a Darius ult, which is crazy, and it has the same animation. So, for me, it's gonna have to be a yes. It is satisfying to play regardless of his balancing state. What about you guys?
Oh, it's 100% satisfying to play.
Garen
Yeah,
is.
Garen is. Ulting someone feels so good.
Just doing his combo feels good, you know? Like, you get those perfect auto cancels. Like,
Yeah.
you know, where the sword's still in midair, and then you just stop, but the auto still hits.
Yeah, like when you stop when you auto cancel with Q properly. Do you remember when you sent me that Yadzo GIF?
Yeah, I have
which
it. There you go.
You actually,
Look at this now fight.
like in which you actually instantly, like right after, instantly just auto Q. That's crazy. Like I remember that. That's just incredible, crazy. Like how fast the animation go.
I don't want to get too evil here, but one thing that's very satisfying for me, and you know, I use this for entertainment purposes, but when somebody on the enemy team says, well, "WTF? I took 1,500 damage from this." Oh no, hold on, the wrong voice. WTF? I took 1,500 damage from this ultimate. I'm like, sorry, villain mechanic. Or I'm like, have you ever played versus a Cho'Gath before or something?
So yeah, these
But it's
people
really-
are actually complaining when these things have been happening for fucking ever on champions that don't even build damage. Like Cho'Gath. Like honestly, dude.
It's really satisfying to get the reactions from some people because they still don't understand how much damage Garen can do in the right context. So just, you know, if you're a thrill seeker like that, and definitely looking to disrupt the enemy team's morale, especially if you're looking to possibly tilt your enemies through gameplay. If you snowball as Garen, you definitely have a good chance of doing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that, honestly. Okay, so I've posted this. Garen is 100% satisfying to play. Doing the combo properly and killing with ult just ends up being one of the best things ever, no matter what. Okay, let's refresh here, because I haven't refreshed in a while. See if we have any more comments going on. Holy shit, this is actually a pretty big post. 87 comments so far. Wow. Okay. This is actually crazy. Look. scroll down quite a little bit here. Why is the answer, does Garen feel satisfied in the play regardless if it doesn't show? Okay, there it is. Aaron Singularity asks, what's Garen's best bet if he's behind in his lane and has no TP advantage? I'd say a jungle gank, honestly. There's not too much you can do.
I just finished Triforce and Sterak, like, even in behind, like, I don't know.
It's probably true. Like, rushing, continuing...
I just still do it, like, it's like
I just play around Ignite.
Yeah.
I just play around Ignite, like, you wait for Ignite to come off cooldown, and you can sometimes make a comeback.
Okay, I'm gonna have to... I don't have anything to add to this, honestly. It's the like, if you're playing with Ignite, you don't have TP, that's what you do. You play around the offensive potential you have. And,
you may want to add in to advise that player to possibly get the mute function ready, because if you continue to build damage, if you're in a situation where you're behind, your team is not going to enjoy that at all.
Yeah, but there's the mute button for that.
See, like, as bad as it is, it's actually the most useful thing you can do, like, in my opinion. Like,
on the off chance, the off chance like a carry mispositions, even if you're behind, if you can flash Q, ignite R, and get a kill, like, that's more impact than a tank Garen is ever gonna do.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, that's why I always build damage
towards dealing damage. Yeah, if you're already committed to an AD-oriented playstyle, like for example, if I'm taking electrocute for some random reason, I wouldn't start building tank if I'm behind. I'm gonna commit to those ratios. You know, and building tank Garen versus Darius, well, that's not going to solve anything, especially versus Fiora too. So it really depends on the matchup. You have to stay committed sometimes.
True.
I mean, you don't provide anything other than damage. Like, you could be a meat shield, but that's just it. You're just a meat shield. You don't do anything.
Yeah, and you're not a good meat shield. People won't focus you.
Unless like maybe you have Glacial and then like Randuins or something. I don't know.
Perhaps, maybe you can just provide that sort
but
of...
you were planning to go tank anyway if you had that case.
But that was your game plan then.
Yeah, then you're committed to going tank, because if I'm going Glacial Augment, then of course I'm not planning on doing as much damage as with Conqueror or Grasp. I have to stick to using the utility of that rune, so just gotta stay committed to whatever build you're planning for in Champion Select and just go with it. Because if you go in between, then you're just gonna be ineffective at two things at once, so...
Yeah. Like, if I was behind early and I was like building Phage, I used to just like, oh, I'm just gonna get Black Cleaver instead of Triforce this game. It's cheaper, but like it's just worse. You're just putting yourself further behind doing that.
You guys gonna wait for me a second? I'm gonna be back in a second here. Gotta grab something.
Yeah.
Did you all right, so we can talk about the next question. How do you guys stay awake while playing this champ? Do we want to address that?
Oh, I better not answer this question. I haven't been
kind of falls in with the other. I was gonna say it's like similar to what you enjoy. Like, if you enjoy it, then you stay awake. I don't know.
I'll just reply, eat dicks.
Eat dicks.
Yeah. I mean, nobody has a gun to our head. We got to keep this in mind. I mean, clearly we enjoyed the champion at some point. I mean, I would probably fall asleep playing Teemo or Camille, but that's my taste. It's much different than the person who's asking this question, of course.
Yeah, it's just subjective.
Alright, I'm back. So, we have another question from Derek Wang. How do you guys stay awake?
We covered it.
Oh, I am gonna have to press F5. I'm gonna have to press F5 and see how you handled it.
We didn't reply, but
you should have replied with what you said.
Yeah, we just reply, eat dicks. That's what we agreed on.
Okay, eat dicks. Okay. What the fuck? Well, I guess I'm gonna watch the VOD because I missed this part. I'm gonna have to watch the VOD. How do you go? Okay, so how can I play Garen in the jungle? Honestly, I would just say Predator.
You don't.
You don't? You don't.
No,
okay, I'm gonna say you don't. But
first,
if
you PayPal the enemy team. Second, you build Machete.
But if you really want to do it, just take Predator. Take Predator.
I mean,
yeah.
Predator, Machete, Tiamat. I don't even think you would upgrade your Machete.
Triforce is good as well, but it's just expensive for jungle.
Start Machete and work towards a Q damage build.
You have to tell whatever lane that isn't leashing for you to do a fake leash because, yeah, you do not want to be counter jungled early. If you get set behind, you're basically power farming your jungle the entire laning phase, which means your lanes don't get help, and that's a ton of unhappy campers.
It's cool. No one leashes for Garen anyway, so.
And make sure you don't.
We said Predator Keystone, right?
Yeah.
That would basically all I have to add, because I honestly think Garen jungle can like really sucks. I wouldn't do it if you care about winning or if you care about your Garen stats.
Okay, so I've answered this question. We have another question. Hirta, who's actually probably a Fiora main, because he has a Fiora account. Does Adam plan on trying to reach Challenger? And if not, does he plan to just sit on 0 LP or play more? And how does it feel to play Garen at that elo? Does Marine think he can ever reach Masters again, or is too fed up with the game as it is to grind the games required? Anyhow, guys, best of luck. I really think at the minimum Garen should have his Q and R animations shortened, since that buff won't really matter for low elo and he likely can get at least a minor E buff. Also, I wonder if it's possible for Riot to at least make Garen jungle somewhat playable by making his passive not get turned off by jungle creeps. This comment is honestly pretty well
top tier,
written, you know?
Top tier comment.
Like, good
I
questions.
agree with the stuff about the QR animation. I agree with the jungle camp stuff. The top tier comment.
So let's honestly, yes. Let's just answer the first 2 questions, and you guys are gonna have to answer those. So Adam, do you plan to reach Challenger?
I'll try, but look, I can't stay at 0 P. You have to play in Master, so I'm gonna have to play.
Okay,
I mean, I should be able to gain like 100 OP just through variance, like alone.
Honestly, I think you guys should answer this question. Like, I feel like if I answered this, like Adam can answer the first.
It depends how big the buff is, or like how effective the buff is over it.
Just go ahead and like Marine and Adam, you guys should answer the first 2 paragraphs, and then I'm just gonna answer to the third myself if it's fine for you. Because honestly, those 2 questions are directed to you individually. So I think it's just better if you guys answer them, honestly.
Are you logged into your Reddit account, Adam?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Mr. Adam J. Reformed.
Yeah.
Adam J.
I'm gonna use that now. I'm gonna name change now.
No, he's actually
gonna do that.
Make sure to put J in parentheses if you're ever using it as an alias in the future.
I'll let Adam and Marine answer the first 2 questions for.
You'll be the next Jill Miller. Adam, don't call me Adam J. Reformed. Reformed.
Your comment is top tier. The buffs to the animations would be great for iHalo and actually have little impact to low elo, which would make a Riot unintended way harder. Considering
unban Supernova. They're still saying unban Supernova.
And well, they have perseverance. Unintended.
Yeah, Florian, I'm definitely kind of burned out on this game for sure. I have like only 100 something ranked games played this whole season. I think Ristium has what, like 1,000?
Over 1,000? I don't know how you got
yeah,
that.
the other end of this section, there's me.
You have a lot of perseverance and patience, man. That's nothing new, but every time I consider the numbers, yeah, they just blow my mind a little bit.
Yeah, but this season's been a good learning curve.
6 days a week, so it's a matter of lifestyle and, of course, how much time you dedicate to the game.
I guess.
But you know, it's like you know, like on average, though, you must be playing like 10.5 games a day.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you just average it out.
How many hours is that? It's like an 8-hour day, almost every day, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he does that. He streams every day, so. Oh, except
That's
Sundays
true.
usually.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
see you online a lot. If I'm like up late at night, sometimes you're on, and I'll go to sleep and wake up, and sometimes you're still on. And if I like,
think Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you're just on a lot. I mean, dude, you have a good, consistent schedule.
Yeah, I have to say though, the thing is, we've talked about this before. Garen players have to tolerate a lot. I think it's important as a Garen player to just really pace yourself. This is good for mentality and your performance. I really feel like that's why Adam has been so successful lately, because he's pacing himself so well, compared to me, where I'm jumping on my main every single day and just grinding those games out. If any Garen player wants to succeed, you have to be very protective of your mentality, because there are so few people who will support you in your endeavors to climb with Garen. You're going to receive every single insult under the book when it comes to climbing with this champion. So it's important to take breaks to protect your mental, and also understand too that not so many people are going to support you. So just really pace yourself and take breaks when possible, because Garen requires such clean execution in order to win some games, because you can mess up so easily with this champion. So your mentality is very, very important.
There's also something people don't realize, is that Garen is not actually that safe at all. Like, you just miss time a single Q and you can actually lose lane.
I know, you just get ganked, you got no mobility. So
yeah, like, honestly, it is actually easy to fuck up as Garen, but people don't seem to know that. Whatever. Okay, so let's continue. We have another question. Would a slender mouse? This is actually, honestly, a cool as fuck name. I don't know if you guys know the DJ, but would a good buff be to have Perseverance remain through any damage he receives during W active, or to have W reactivate Perseverance? This can be a good way to mitigate long-range matchups with poke. Honestly, the whole passive being active during W kind of sucks up until level 14, because W is 2 seconds, you know? So you can, yeah, it gives you a limited amount of control to your passive, you know, to delay the cooldown. And the reactivation portion is probably the better part of the comment, but W is just an ability that you don't have available. And unless they lower the cooldown, having too much power into W can, like, putting the sustain component kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure if it would work for the better. Like, it would be definitely a buff, but not sure if it would make a huge difference in laning phase, considering that 2 seconds of your early passive extra, not a big deal. I don't know, what do you guys think?
I could see it plausible in terms of what Riot could do. Like, I try keeping realistic expectations as to what Riot might do versus what they might not do. They could possibly do that with W. I definitely believe that there is definitely more room for W that Garen that Garen has that Riot's going to pursue for sure. Could it involve Perseverance? Maybe, but at the same time, I would have to say they'd have to be very careful with it too, because it seems that Garen's Perseverance is a big catalyst for counterplay in what the enemy champion can do versus you in lane. Obviously, if they send one auto attack off, that keeps your passive down for 8 seconds until level 11. So that is a big counterplay component. So they would have to be very careful, because if you were able to sustain your Perseverance by just getting your W up, that means in the poke lane, that could encourage a Garen player to put an extra point in W or two, which means that artificially reduces the cooldown of W, and that means there's less chances for that poke mage to keep your passive down, which might vastly improve, of course, the poke lane, of course, you know, but they have to be really careful about that. So it's definitely tricky. It's not a simple addition. They'd have to take a lot into consideration for sure.
I've heard of this change before, and what I think is a better solution is if you take damage during your W, maybe it could just reduce the amount of seconds before your passive comes off cooldown again. I think, I don't know, honestly, honestly, I don't even like the idea, really. I kind of would prefer, like, a reward in another way for W, like.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's not a bad idea. It is tricky to do. Probably just better to do something else altogether, for the sake of simplicity, you know. So I'm gonna answer. It sounds like a possible buff to W, but there's probably more room for W to do. It could involve Perseverance, but the interaction you suggested is a little trickier, because playing around your passive is an important component towards outplaying Garen.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys.
Huh?
Do you think these changes? What do you think these changes are going to do to low elo? You know, the
Which
buffs they
changes?
have on PB.
Buffs they have on
40
PB?
damage in the... Because I think low elo Garen's gonna, like, be pretty nutty in win rate.
I think low elo Garen's still gonna max E.
So you
'cause,
don't think they won't have that buff? They don't get the Q buffs because they max E.
until later.
Where if
and
they
then-
start maxing Q.
and not only that, but low elo Garen farm bad. So when is the W change gonna be useful?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
still, the win rate was like 52% or something. Even now, I think.
I mean, I think the Q change will be more impactful than the W change.
Of course.
And it comes later because they max E down there, honestly. No one maxes Q below gold, I think. And even then, like, I don't know. Probably gonna have an impact. But maybe the one tricks, you know, those who play a lot of normals and don't play ranked, they will just start destroying people. But I don't think it's gonna spike that hard. Maybe 2 or 3% more win rate, but that's about it.
It's not introducing
yeah.
any. It's
So
not
you go.
introducing any sort of new mechanic. I mean, yes, it's a damage buff. It might increase his win rate a little bit, but he's still not as terrorizing in low elo, like compared to someone like a Lowy, where there are so many people down in low elo, I hear, that still don't even understand how a Lowy's kit works. They'll go ahead and engage on her while she 5-man ults and just gets a pentakill or a quadra. I think Garen still is not going to be the most terrorizing Juggernaut, even after the buffs. You know, if Darius got his buffs and he still hasn't gotten nerfed, you know, I think Garen should be okay in low elo.
By the way, when I meant low elo, I meant like bronze.
Yeah, bronze.
Not like platinum below. I meant just like bronze. Because that's the only place that Garen has positive win rate, I think.
Pretty much. But actually, I remember watching a Shinshin video some time ago in which he pointed out that Garen's win rate actually gets worse in lower elos.
What?
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember exactly the name of the video. I think it was right after they buffed this W. Some people were
Dude, his
complaining.
win rate is 52%. He's like one of the highest.
Like, I remember back in the day, though. I'm not sure about now, but
Wait,
before.
Yeah, Yasuo's got the second highest win rate in top in bronze.
What the fuck?
Yeah, hard champion, guys.
Just right click and then press Q on spam. Hold on. There's another question. Exactly how much weight do you have on your shoulders? A lot.
Wow.
Man, Marine, I love you, dude. What the?
That's his joke, isn't it? So I was like, what else am I gonna respond
Yeah,
with?
I know. I've got a lot of weight on my shoulders. The world can actually be pretty heavy. Okay, I have a better question. Yeah, I'm gonna have to remove this one because it's a spoiler for A Vengeance Infinity War. Honestly.
Oh, I'm sorry, FSAT. You poor soul.
I already watched the movie. I'm worrying about
Oh,
everybody
hey,
else.
good on you.
Like, I'm worrying about everybody else. Other issues, I suppose. Next. It infringes my copyright. It infringes my trademark right. What the fuck do you want to know, dude? What? It's a transaction for prohibited goods or services? Dude, what? What if it isn't any of these things? Okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'll let it be there. Okay, so no Penta, no good asks. What items do you start in common matchups, the counters and the easy lanes? What are some links to your guides? Alright, so when it comes to the items, we start with pretty much the shield all the time for me. Unless, like, honestly, I wanted to test something and I want you guys to let me know what you think as well. Perhaps we could go with Chrysalis instead of Second Wind and start with a longsword. You know, 60 HP early, you get basically the same amount of HP, but you get 10 AD. You start with 82 AD like that. How does that sound?
I actually go Chrysalis every game, but I still take Dorian Shield because, like, Dorian Shield, like, Garen early game sucked too many balls to ever think about being offensive. The few matchups where you can be offensive, you can still just crush them with Dorian Shield anyway. So I just think Dorian Shield across the board.
I gotta say, I agree. I'm gonna test the Chrysalis because I've been doing it on Darius, and honestly, the longsword start on Darius is kind of pretty, you know, bonkers. And I was thinking maybe I can do the same with Garen, just as long as I have Chrysalis. So
Wait, guys,
I'll
really,
test it
do you
out.
think Chrysalis is that good, like, compared
It's
to
not-
Second Wind?
Dude, I love Chrysalis.
Dude, 60
I
HP
love
is
it.
actually free, man.
Yeah,
It's
but, like, you
actually-
get that in, like, 10 seconds with the second wind.
Actually, wait. I think. Well, hold on. This reminds me. Somebody made a post about, hey, let's talk about the rune system. It's not working. I think they mentioned Chrysalis. It's not
bugged.
working as intended right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is bugged.
it's
keep the
actually
HP
bugged.
forever.
You trade. Okay, so yeah, you keep the HP, and how it's bugged is, as soon as you deal damage, you lose the 60 HP, and you get the 9 AD. But when you leave combat, you get the 60 HP back. But when you get the 60 HP back, it heals you for 60 health. So
What?
like that is how it's bugged.
Oh, we should cut this from the AMA because if Riot
Dude, it's too
notices-
bad that doesn't work when you like.
Delete this.
One.
Don't delete this. Leave this. But actually, Marine, think
Delete
about this.
that
If you get delete that footage. But if you have that passive going on, like no, also sorry, if you get that
That's
HP
why I
back,
take Chrysalis every game. Dude.
your
It's
passive
broken.
gets
It's
buffed,
busted.
man. What the fuck?
Yeah, plus your passive is stronger. So like you still get the damage, and then your passive is stronger after you
What the
leave
fuck?
combat.
Okay,
You get
but
instant
I'm gonna
60
answer.
healing, and then
It's the best
Yeah.
of Door and Shield is definitely the best all-around start for Garen in all matchups.
Yeah, but the problem with Chrysalis is that doesn't affect you until you've got, is it three kills?
four kills. Yeah. Before that, it's just 60 HP.
Yeah, I still think I prefer second wind then, to be honest.
The second wind takes way longer to give you that effective HP. True, but still.
Not really.
It's kinda
If you're
cool
low
for
HP,
me.
It's like 10 seconds.
It's kind of cool for mid game because you're full health. You're running into the fight. You take some poke on the way in. You get your 60 health. But you lose the 60 health. Now you get the 9 AD once you start actually dealing damage, and then that reduces your max HP. So like in combat, you're taking less percent HP damage, which is pretty ballin'. And then you leave combat, and then it's like boom, here's a buff for your
Boom,
passive.
it's
I mean,
60 HP.
I mean, I care about early games so much now. I stopped going Gathering Storm even. I started taking Scorch versus some matchups.
Oh my god,
No,
Adam!
man,
yeah?
never.
I know, I started going Scorch versus some.
Dude,
Bro,
but
you
do
can't
you
do murder
remember
on
when
the
we
inside.
used to go with Electrocute, Scorch, and Cheap Shot?
I don't care. Like, my games are ending at 20 minutes. So what does it matter?
14 AD, dude. That's basically a long
14 AD, the game's over. I get 5 AD. I get 5 AD out of it, and the game's over.
Yeah, Master Tier games when I was in Masters, they didn't last too long, and the
Yeah,
death count wasn't high to begin with either.
I know, my death counts, everyone's death counts high still. I don't
Yeah,
know how.
because you get the great bot lane players, man.
No, like the few I was against went 0-7-0. Few, I mean, like, I don't know.
Okay, so
But yeah,
about
like the game's done in
this
20
guy
minutes. So-
asked for guide links. They actually, by the way, to anyone watching my stream right now, if you want to ask any questions, you should ask them in the Reddit post, because that's where we're taking the questions from. Gonna post the link again. Better use that one. When they asked me to link our guides, so Marine, if you're going to give me the link to your guide again.
My guide is non-existent at the moment. So how about link my stream instead, or my YouTube?
Okay,
Probably
so
my
I'm
stream.
gonna link my guide, FSET's guide.
Link
There.
My guide has been dead for 3 years.
Bit. Okay, then I'm gonna link your Twitch, Marine, because that's where you post most of your content.
Yeah, it's where I'm
What
most
about you,
active.
Risty? What's your
Link,
preference?
actually, link my Discord as well, because you can always ask me information.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna link Marines. Actually, to avoid linking too many things, I'm gonna link your Discord only for now.
Okay, that's
like,
fine.
Because then I have to then we'd have to link
Yeah, they can
everybody's
get
Twitch
my
channel,
stream link
it's
inside
pretty-
the Discord.
Yeah.
And actually, my stream is actually at the top anyway, since we have it.
have a? So I'm gonna use the stream or the Discord. Which do you prefer?
Just use the Discord and whatever you're replying to.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to make an invitation. I'm gonna make it a little longer than usual.
Here, I'm gonna send you one that doesn't expire.
I can actually make a permanent myself.
Okay, do that.
Copy. And then, whoops, let's click. And then, alright, it's Discord. And then, Risty, what do you prefer me to link? Your Discord as well?
Link my stream.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, because my Discord's, you know, kind of different. Definitely kind of different.
Okay, no problem. I'm just gonna link your stream. got you on my friends list. And I've got you on my friends list, auto host, whatever it can be. Rist is
Right.
Twitch. Okay. And that should do it. Because my guide is actually at 13 million views, and it's the third or fourth most highest rated in the history of the website.
Yeah, but you're still telling people to get Black Cleaver.
Dude, that guide is aimed at low elo. We have chapters for different places, for different elos, you know, in which I do recommend other builds. Lolo Cap 15 asks, "What is a Garen anymore?" Baby don't spin me. Baby don't execute me.
Oh, it's a What Is Love reference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Baby don't execute me. I'm gonna answer like that. Baby don't execute me. You know, kind of taking the reference there. Okay, unbanned Super MOBA. Okay, best Garen in the world, you NA nerds. Adam and AMSat and me. Adam and I are Europe West players. So, just gonna have to say that. Moyi asks, so I've been using the Frozen Mallet build from last season with the removal of Fervor. I find Conquer or Grasp, but depending on the matchup or team comp, to work quite well as a replacement. I find being able to lock down an enemy with the slows provided from the build quite useful, especially when chasing mobile champions, eventually killing them. Would it be better to just build Garen more tankier with a Deadman's or more damage in order to kill an enemy faster with how the game currently is, rather than building Frozen Mallet? Honestly, I just tell Moyi to not use Frozen Mallet anymore. Ever since Fervor was removed, the Frozen Mallet build has gotten worse. While the item is still viable to a certain extent, like, yeah, I don't think it's garbage. It's still gold efficient and all.
It does depend on the matchup for sure. Like, I love building it versus Singed. It's the only way you can really stay on top of him. I am actually going to write this. On top of that too.
I'm actually going to write this because it's fucking genius. And abuse it like against Singe. Honestly, this is genius. I'm gonna write it and probably test that out as well, because never thought about that. Because personally, when I play against Singed, I ignore him. Like, I just let him do whatever the fuck he wants. Tell my jungler to not gank and be like, see ya.
Yeah, I combo with Phase Rush and he cannot get rid of me. I literally get on top of his case.
Maybe. Wait, that's Mallet first item then? Or second item?
For example, I'm gonna actually tell him to probably the best is probably going to be Glacial Augment if you're going to go for Frozen Mallet. You cannot.
Glacial Augment can be good, but you have to build the items to supplement the Glacial Field. The thing is, it has an eternal cooldown that scales down to 4 seconds, but it's not as effective for locking someone down because Frozen Mallet.
That's why I'm recommending it in combination with the Frozen Mallet, because I think the two things could actually stack up pretty powerfully.
Is Singed even hard anymore though?
Honestly, I just ignore him and I win, because eventually,
really,
when you start...
like every time he comes to EU, you just push QW and you win.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, whenever he tries, as soon as you get the wave clear ready, he's just turned useless, because he can't proxy properly anymore, because you're proxying as well. And when you get bigger, you're actually more dangerous than he is. So honestly, I don't know. And if he plays the lane, he just straight up loses. So like, what can
yeah, you can't lane versus you. And even if he proxies, yeah, you can just farm it under the tower easily.
Yeah. You can just farm it out, and then eventually you can actually push waves faster than he does. So, I don't know. But overall, it's
haven't seen him in a long time, actually.
Yeah, me neither.
There's a big surprise factor behind it. Like, when a Singed typically walks up to Garen and he's like, okay, I can get rid of you, but there's a big cheese factor in Frozen Mallet too. I've gotten a ton of solo kills by them just thinking that they can just ditch me, but I can stay on top of them. So it really depends on your rune setup and, of course, how quickly you get that Frozen Mallet. But it can really throw them off guard. If you're talking about solo queue mentality and what players are expecting, versus what they actually go up against, nobody's going to expect a frozen mount on Garen. Similarly to not too many people expecting Trinity Force on Garen and seeing amazing burst damage in team fights or the ability to take down a tower. Like even the situations where I split push with Trinity Force, because I do prefer that build sometimes. People are like, WTF, what happened bottom? I'm like, dude, I got Trinity Force. It's just Garen with Trinity Force.
I saw like 2 games where you just ended the game and the enemy team didn't even respond. So you just ended it. Killed the next.
It's crazy. I think one of Garen's hidden strengths is that yes, sometimes your enemies won't take you seriously, and you got to really push that advantage.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I'm gonna suggest that we answered these last few questions that we've got on the latest refresh I have, and honestly, then it's kind of late for me. It's actually midnight, so
yeah. I haven't slept in 36 hours, man.
Dude, I don't know how you do this. Like,
I don't know how I'm awake.
What's with the tri-phase thing, dude? It's not working
I know,
anymore.
I just gave up, dude. I just haven't slept. I'm dead.
You skipped it. But like, I think we can agree to answer these last few questions, but leave the post there. We can continue answering the Reddit post questions over time if that's okay with you guys. But obviously, every one of us will answer when it's possible, so we can actually multiply, because that's 4 of us right there. And we are actually, the fact that we're in different time zones is a big thing, because that means that basically we always can answer. There's always going to be someone available. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, well, I mean, let's answer these other questions, and then we're going to just leave the post there and focus on that one. And as I said, to anyone watching right now, I'm going to make the VOD available to everybody, and I'm probably going to provide it to Risti and maybe Marine, but Marine probably has his own VOD, so that they can post it on their own channels. Just note. Yeah, of note, I can provide the MP4 file, but YouTube will only let me download that in 480p. So, you know, Risti, you're gonna have to kind of have the lower quality version. I don't know why YouTube does that, but you know, you still get.
Wait, if you upload it, you upload it, right?
Yeah, if I upload it,
and then you just download it.
Oh well, I mean, the VOD is directly on YouTube. I don't upload. I don't record my streams. They get.
There must be some download that you can use for it then.
Don't know. The buttons.
It's all good.
MP4 download button just gives me 480, but I think it's fine.
Let's answer like 1 or 2 more questions if we can before we head out.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fully Yuki asks, do you find at least half of your matches fun with how Garen in the game is in its current state? At least half? Honestly, yes.
I'd say probably half. Yeah, at least half. But the other half make me want to stop playing the game.
Marine. Okay, I'm gonna write exactly this. At least half ? Probably yes, with an exclamation mark. But the other half make us want.
It's not even half. It's just a few. You know, like when you get ranged. And like, ranged is not every game. It's not even every other game. It's like...
Okay, but the rest of
maybe
us...
1 in 4,
the rest of
maybe
them
1 in
make
5.
us want... I'm gonna be like, at least half? Probably yes. But the rest of them make us want to quit League.
I'd say 1 in 3. Like, best case scenario. 1 in, you know, every other game on a bad day.
I don't know. So many bruisers played now.
I mean, at the very, like... Even if it's not like a full ranged, like it's GP or something.
Yeah,
if you include GP, then
I
probably
continue to ban GP. Ever since I've met a GP who came back to lane with a Sheen at 3 minutes, I don't want to see that champion anymore forever.
Now you have to come back with Sheen too.
Yeah, but it's impossible to do that because I don't have nearly as much gold as he has because he gets fucking 500 gold from Klepto.
Nah, come on, in 3 minutes he can only get like maybe 50 gold from his passive. Or if he gets a lucky Klepto proc or something.
A lucky Klepto proc or whatever it is, but he actually walked back at 3 minutes with a Sheen and there was nothing I can do, so I'm not gonna see that champion anymore.
You can't, there's no way you can farm that.
Raid, dude, I don't know, man, I don't know, don't ask me. Maybe he cheated. Raid, dude,
maybe he has market.
Maybe. Raid, dude, what other champs do you play beside Garen? What lane do you prefer if you don't get top? Everyone should answer this one personally. For myself, I'm just gonna say I play Darius or Renekton if Garen is not available.
I only play Garen. Like
And
mid
I go
and top,
mid
and that's it.
if top is not.
I got like 2 support games on this season, and that's it.
Okay, so I'm gonna Adam. I only play top.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
have a
not-
Yasuo game and a Janna game, but they were run it down mids.
But
Reformed.
I basically run it down.
Oh man.
I just said I usually play Garen, Darius, Tryndamere, or I dodge.
Garen, Darius, Tryndamere, or I dodge.
But it's like, but it's basically only Garen. Like I don't really play anything else.
How often do
what
you guys
about
get
the
filled?
secondary
Because like
lane?
I never
What
get filled.
secondary? What secondary lane do you get, Marine?
Mid.
Yeah. No one wants top anymore
Yep.
though, so you just get top every game.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's something
Mid
that's
lane.
nice. What about you, Risty?
I'm a mid lane. I actually prefer playing mid lane. I love the roam potential of early, so my secondary is actually top lane. But if I don't get Garen, I just hit the nice little, tiny little exit button on my client. So
Okay, so
break
I
the
actually
dodge.
prefer mid lane for the roaming potential.
Except
But-
when your team bans it.
But if
It's only happened to me
Garen
one
is
time so far.
unavailable,
Yep.
I just dodge.
Yeah, I picked Yasuo. I was like 0-8.
I'll just dodge. Okay. Best James Bond, who's actually... What did you guys think of Infinity War? Have you guys ever... yeah, we're not going to answer that one question. But then the second question is, have you guys ever been interested in Riot developing more lore between Garen and Darius? Imagine a cinematic with the two of them front and center. Honestly, personally, I would just want a... My biggest dream ever since I've started playing League is a Bilge Water style event between Noxus and Demacia. That's my biggest dream, honestly.
Is that alternate universe then? Because they can't be Bilgewater. Like, wait, what do you mean?
No, Bilge Water style. Like, do you remember the
Bilgewater,
Bilge
by the way.
Water, the Bilge Water event? Do you remember that? Bilge Water
Yeah, where
event?
Gangplank died.
Yeah, those. I want
Yeah, good,
something
get 'em.
of that size between Demacia and Noxus.
Oh, okay.
I want the size. That's
Yeah,
my
that would probably
biggest
be
dream.
cool.
Do you guys agree with me on that? Like, can I just write this as an answer for everybody that we would love
Go
to
for
have
it.
we would love to have a Bilgewater style event in magnitude with Noxus, with Demacia and Noxus as the main parties, and obviously have all of the old lore, Garen, and when obviously have all of the possible interactions varied with Garen, Darius, among others. Thoughts? Okay, no Penta, no good asks thoughts on the thought on the planned garage nerf. I think we've already discussed this. We shall see what it is. We shall see what it is like. It's probably going to be a nerf. Going to be more of a tri-gauge nerf than just gauge nerf.
There's plenty of other stuff to build anyway, so...
We have alternatives,
No, and the stuff they proposed looks cool as well.
especially among the new items, and gauge may still be viable after the changes, so we'll wait and see. I think that's a probably a just balanced and neutral answer there. BNS18JS asks, I'm of the opinions that bold. Garen should stay weak at the top level because otherwise he'll be way too strong for most normal folks playing this game, ruining their regular gameplay experience. This is just like how I think Azir should stay weak for the low level, because otherwise it'd be way too OP in high elo games, winning those games in esports. What do you guys think of this fundamental design philosophy? I think it's flawed.
My opinion is that every elo has its bans. If Garen is going to be the bronze ban, then just let it be. Like whatever. Just let Garen be the bronze ban.
Yeah, I agree.
Me too. If Garen has to be the bronze ban due to the inability of players in that elo.
Like at its core, it's people not good enough at the game to handle Garen, not Garen being inherently too strong. Because as you go up in skill, Garen becomes significantly easier to deal with. So I don't think, like, if he's a noob stomper, he's a noob stomper. Like, it's just like how it has to be. Don't keep him from being relevant.
Yeah, okay, so every elo has its bans. If Garen has to be the bronze ban due to the inability of players in that elo to play around him, because that's what the problem would be, and not Garen being too strong, then so be it. Then so be it. Garen,
that's, you know,
like every champion, should not be prevented from being viable at higher elos, because people in lower elos can deal with him.
Like,
It's
I
not
would
the
just make
champion,
a
it's the-
comment like we like don't want him to be broken or anything. Like that's not the goal. But like the whole, you know, bronzies keep Garen from getting buffed argument is just, it's like 7 years old now. There needs to be a new debate.
But then the whole bronze players don't want him to get buffed, because otherwise they can't play against him. Argument is 7 years old and has never been sent, and has always been nonsense. Okay, this is we have only 2 more questions, and then we're gonna head up. I mean, I'm gonna head up. Adam and I are probably gonna head up to sleep. I don't know about you guys. What if they? Nobody's actually asks, what if they buffed second wind so it lacked like Udyr's Q in the fact that you get the HP regen the rest of it instantly after it reapplies? I'm not sure.
Let's not buff Resolve anymore, please.
Yeah, I agree. Resolve has power creeped enough.
We finally made it to the front page of Reddit.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, now too bad we're about to end.
It didn't help they deleted the first thread. So.
Yeah, I can actually resist for a few more minutes if we want to continue to get the attention.
Let's just do a couple more questions.
Okay. Resolve is power creeped enough. I think we think second win can stay as it is. Bread and Beer asks, hey yeah guys, what do you think of a Shinshin's idea on making W last way shorter, but therefore strongly reduce its cooldown to make best use of the 0.75 seconds? And do you think it would increase the Garen skill cap, increasing his percentage movement speed on Q and therefore as well decreasing the duration? I agree on the W thing, but I heavily disagree on the Q thing. I think the Q...
Sorry, what was the Q thing?
Decrease the duration, increase the strength. I think they can increase the strength without decreasing the duration and it still wouldn't be broken, honestly. What do you guys think?
Wait, so decrease the silence, so wait, what was it?
No, the movement speed. Like decrease the movement speed duration, but make it stronger. Like it's a 50% movement speed, something like that, I assume.
Oh, that's just better though. More movement speed, less duration is better. If it's takes you equal distance.
I see. Okay, so
that's right, because we could itemize Demon's Plate eventually, and then it would just basically nullify the nerf and just give us a full-on benefit with that, I think.
So you guys would go for intensity over duration?
Well, it depends what percent they're changing the speeds to. If it gets you the same distance faster, then it's just better.
Okay, I'm gonna actually put it this way. W change seems fair. It will allow us to better.
But like you already
use.
suggested the W thing, like with 2 W stacks on a shorter cooldown.
Since Garen's kit is so, well, kind of close to being one-dimensional, I mean, numbers basically talk the loudest out of any change proposed. I mean, anything could be really wonderful on paper, whether it be a kit revision or an ability, you know, change or a new ability whatsoever. But if the numbers aren't right, then it's just not going to work. This is why Kai'Sa's an issue, because either her mobility or her damage can only be adjusted. That's it, because that's her kit. She's just mobility
Kai'Sa's
and
kit
damage.
is terrible though. It's just overtuned numbers, I think.
Yeah.
That's how it
But the
feels.
numbers just have to be
And the
right,
Q
because
interaction
there's
with
nothing else.
Death Dance. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
See, yeah. So I'm gonna just write it. W change seems fair. It would allow us to better use the 0.75 second super power spike more often and effectively. And same goes for Q if you just bold that. The distance covered were the same with the increased strength, decreased duration. With that being said, number tuning is not entirely the best. It's not exactly the best way, but exactly the best way to go for Garen buffs. I'm not sure if we should specify this though. Like, I think this is just for the sake of discussion. Obviously, many of the ideas that were expressed around here are number based. And yet I think that most of them would actually help Garen quite a little bit. Like, I don't know. I just leave that out and just comment on that. We just refresh then. And see what other questions we have. Answer a couple more and then... Shine Leaf asks, was old Garen better than the current? This is actually a question that I would answer yes, but can you actually answer yes? Like, I don't know.
This
honestly.
might be a good question for Moon, to be honest.
So, sorry, the old Garen better than the current?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there were aspects of both that I think have made trade-offs. I think the biggest advantage to new Garen is villain makes it so that, like, if there's at least one target, you can basically always kill as long as you can get to them. But the old Garen had a lot more snowball potential, and I liked the way W worked before, like, but I guess honestly they've kind of come back. See, like, the thing is, old Garen used to have, you know, the longer silence and used to have the tenacity on the W, I think for the full duration, didn't it?
It was the full duration, 30% full duration.
Yeah, it was, which was pretty nice. And like, there were a lot of things that when they first reworked him into a Juggernaut, that he didn't have those things. He didn't have the tenacity at all. But he's gotten a lot of quality of life buffs since then too. Like, he's gotten, like, the passive was brought down from 16 to 11. So like,
it was added, wasn't it? Like, it wasn't even there to begin with.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Actually, yeah, it wasn't even there to begin with.
What wasn't even there to begin with?
The super regen at 16.
Yeah, no, that was there. They changed that in the end of season 4.
I thought it was there too, but I guess
it was later than that. It was later than that.
Maybe beginning of season 5, but it was definitely already there when Garen was reworked. Definitely was already there. I've got videos on my channel that prove that.
I mean, I think the majority of Garen is better now, but his spin is like way worse, and his base stats I think are worse overall too.
Okay.
What about this? What if you rephrase the question? What if you say relative? Because I think relative to the champions now, he was so much better back then.
Oh yeah, definitely better back then. Well, the biggest thing was 2.5 second silence guaranteed his full spin damage.
And the mobility just wasn't as insane as now.
Yeah, and the shielding and healing as well. So like, new Garen is weaker relative to the state of the game, and without the old silence, without the longer silence, his damage is not guaranteed. The only time new Garen is better is against a villain. Was basically how I would sum it up.
Yeah, the relative to the past, and how League has evolved. How League has evolved. Old Garen was better overall, unless you're facing villain. Okay, so I'm gonna save this answer. Drax Shitballs says Garen needs some form of infight sustain, higher mobility, or some hard CC. He doesn't bring enough to the table to justify not having any of these, and his kill pressure in teamfights and later on in the game is not high enough to justify not having any of these. And Florian actually already answered this. They talked about the infight sustain. Garen is basically a Juggernaut with his own kit and identity. He's an ice stay and fight you forever. He's more like an assassin, and his kit forces him to go in, blow it all over a carry S, and go out to heal and use his passive. He's super bursty. I think we don't really have anything to add to this. Like, we've already answered this question, and Floriano just reiterated, so we can probably just leave it there.
Yeah, let's leave it.
FFS, no, actually, it's FF Sigis 2010 asks, I believe, actually, this is a long one. I believe Garen needs these changes. Garen is innate. It's currently just a hit and run playstyle he promotes. I mean, it does apply, he perseveres through those minions, though. Garen's Q is too binary for its uses, and it's sometimes not as decisive as we would like it to be. The only thing I can think of resolving this issue for if is Garen's Q had a situational passive, but that's iffy. Garen's W, while my personal preference has always been pre-Juggernaut Garen Courage, where Garen's shield granted tenacity during the whole duration, it felt more badass shrugging off damage as well CC while Courage was active. I really felt more like I had Courage than just a 0.75 second tenacity burst and it's gone. Garen's armor shred is applied trades way too late, which is usually the final half of a trade. Garen's R, the villain mechanic, is reasonably reliable, but not truly fitting its theme or full reliability. It's purely an Avenger mechanic. It really needs a rework to feel more fluid for two types of situation. Ulting to save a comrade from an incoming death, or to secure a kill on the most threatening enemy champion. Because straight up, Garen's goals are not always supposed to be an anti-carry. He's supposed to be an anti-threat. Honestly, there is no question in the comment. I think these are all proposals, some of which we've already talked about. And especially the villain mechanic, we've already talked about it. I'm not sure if we should add anything to this. I don't know if you guys have got something to say. Because if you do, you can just answer to this yourselves, honestly. I don't know.
Yeah, I might reply later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long one.
I mean, us Europeans are going to sleep after the stream, so it is up to you guys for the next few hours to handle this post and make sure that it stays alive. Because now that we've got to the top page on Reddit League of Legends, we want to keep that, you know? We want to keep that going. So it's up to you guys until we wake up again. So... worst Akali ever, Lamau asks, would giving Garen E or possibly R extra damage to shields like Irelia passive be a change you would think could help Garen? Honestly, yes. Giving alt a go through shield damage thing would actually make it much stronger, I think.
I don't think it's worth, if it didn't take any of his power budget, yeah. If it did, not really. I don't think it's worth.
Yeah, no. He needs flat damage, not damage versus shields. Because that would create more inconsistency.
Yeah, true. But I agree with Adam. Like, if it didn't take away anything, then why not? Just make it ignore the shields.
Urgot. Right?
Yeah, like Urgot. If it didn't take away any of his current power...
Think if Garen had Urgot's ult. 25% max health.
Imagine the ult when the Urgot's
just
there.
eats them. But it's just strictly better, really. Like, unless they're the villain. His ult even does damage.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually write that. If it didn't take away any of his current power, maybe it could be closer to what Urgot's ult does. Then yes.
Dude, Urgot's ult is so much better. It's actually disgusting. It's 300 damage
much.
plus 50% AD.
Ult does.
And then 25% max health.
Urgot, his ult is just straight up better in every case. for example.
You know, I still remember that game when MarineRevenge was versus a Shinshin on a Urgot. And like he kept ulting and like he just kept spinning through him and he missed every single ult. He was so tilted. I was watching his stream.
Yeah, he was.
Really, I want to watch that clip. Can you guys find that? 'Cause that
It's
wasn't there.
old. It's like from the start of the season.
Okay, but I'd like to watch it if you guys can link it somehow. Can find, I don't know. So I'm gonna say then maybe yes, definitely not something for E. E though, E's problem isn't the amount of damage it does, but rather how long it takes for it to be done. So that's what we have. Okay, I think, yeah, we can probably quit. We have a lot of other questions coming up. Like,
Dude, I need to die.
the inactive wall, what's the best way to tilt your opponent?
Sorry, yeah,
MarineRevenge.
that was funny.
Spam the joke emote during spin. You'll do pushes while your spin arc circles around you doing and you can still last it while with the damage as well. I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna propose bind your Garen, your justice guaranteed emote to the R button. That way, every time you ult.
Dude, I actually tricked people by doing that before.
Me too.
Because
People
mine's
flash,
bound to
people
R,
flash.
so
I remember doing that on a Kale and she used the ult.
it's actually insane. Or Trinity ults. It's dumb.
He's like, oh shit, he's trying to ult me, and then he wastes 2 or 3 seconds of his ult, and then you ult right after. You pop.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
way-
do that next time, Adam. Good fucking tip. Dude, the
Yeah.
Garen is so bad that we have to think of shit like that.
We have to be
No,
cheesy.
just bind your Garen emote to it. It's actually insanely easy.
It's great too.
change
Like,
online.
it's just cool as fuck when you actually land the ult and the Garen emote is like, pew. It's crazy. You pop.
Or the enemy top laners, the villains, so you pretend to be AFK, then you just go ahead and jump on them when they
Yeah,
start
I do that
kicking
as
them.
well. I did that as well. I remember sticking close to creeps. This Aurelia walked close to me to auto-attack me, and then instant silence Sheen proc, 400 damage. She was like, she never approached me ever again in laning.
You know when
phase,
you
like,
can flash on
ever.
them, and you know you can flash on them. And
Huh?
you have
What
to
do you
like
mean?
pretend you're not gonna flash on them.
Oh, yes. Hold on. Let me just finish writing this answer here. Bind your justice guaranteed emote to the R button. Every time you ult, you pop the emote. And that ruins people's neurons. in imaginable ways.
By the way, does anyone think that playing Warren Kingdoms Garen is actually like pay to lose? Because like people can see the spin easier.
Oh, I don't know. Spin is pretty cool like
It's the
that.
smallest thing, but that's why I stopped using that skin.
I don't think it really matters that much, honestly. It's pretty
Yeah.
obvious when he's spinning.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just you can see like the
The range of it, you
range
mean?
of it.
don't
I
know.
think
I mean, I
Steel
guess.
Legion is probably the worst to play overall because it makes his W so visible. And they could tell when your W is down. Like compared to Rugged Garen, where only his shoulder plate becomes shiny, that's like really, really cool. You can nobody really pays attention to that. I think Rugged Garen is like the best for like concealing the.
Man, this is sad. Garen's so shit that we have to.
We have to
Rugged's the
cheese.
best champion.
What skin is OP?
Yeah.
What skin is okay, man? All right, guys. So I'm gonna call it quits for myself. It's very late, and honestly, I think we've made our point. We're gonna continue to support the Reddit post, and we're gonna continue to answer. Our mates from NA, Marine and Risti, are gonna handle the next few hours, and then as soon as I wake up, which I think will be earlier than Adam. I don't know why, but I get this feeling that I'm gonna wake up earlier than Adam. I'm not sure
Nah,
why.
I'll still beat you. Don't worry.
Oh, what? Okay, we'll see about that. First person that wakes up writes to the other, alright? And then we see who wakes up the earliest.
I get up at 6:30. Don't worry.
Fuck
I'll
me.
probably monitor it a little bit off and on over the rest of the night.
Yeah, I'll do the same. Well, as soon as I wake up, I'm probably gonna be willing to just pop up on Reddit every now and then to check out new possible answers to give. So I'm just really happy with what we've done. I think yeah, current topic answering questions has been basically the same thing for the last 3 hours, because at the end of the day, that's what we've done. So honestly, it's been great. Honestly, I feel like we've made our point. I feel like we've actually answered a lot of questions. It was awesome to see so many non-Garen players ask very good questions, not bother us with any toxicity. Like, honestly, it felt great to see that
Except
people
that
are...
one dude who we told to eat dicks.
Yeah, but that guy had what he deserved, so that's fine. Like, overall, we've actually received a lot of constructive comments from people who, you know, were willing to know that there are some misconceptions about the champion, and it's great that it is possible to, you know, just ask questions nicely. And I think we should be very, very proud and satisfied about that. Honestly, all four of us. And honestly, it's been great that we've managed to, you know, get on such a short notice to get the four of us from such different time zones to sync and put our hearts into something that obviously matters a lot to us. So, you know, I'm really happy about this, honestly, about this whole thing. And just thank you guys so much, like Adam, Risti, and Marine for doing this. Honestly, this has been just very great to, and I've actually changed my opinion, changed my mind on some things myself. You know, learned some new things myself about, you know, the potential rune setups and that kind of stuff. It's just great to work with you guys, and honestly, I think we should do this again. Like, on maybe, hopefully, on a better note. You know, after Garen has been successfully buffed in proper ways, or, you know, that kind of stuff. I think hopefully this has potential to be great, and it's been great to work with you guys. Before I close off the stream and I go off, I'm gonna ask you guys just a single question. What do you think we should do with the links now? Should we remove them?
What do you mean?
Like
just stream links.
Just leave the streams there, I guess. Just because people come watch the VODs later. Just edit it and say that, you know, we're done taking live questions.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually edit this now, and then before they remove the post.
Of course.
We have mod approval. Well, I actually did get a mod to approve it when they undeleted it.
No, but like, maybe if I repost, like if I save, it counts as a repost, and then the automatic system deletes it again. Are you willing?
Don't
I'm fairly
think so.
sure it's not
No.
automated. It's like...
You willing to risk this?
Dude, I'm pretty sure when the mod approves it, like it didn't get deleted.
Okay, I'm gonna then change. We've answered about, how many questions did we answer? About 100 questions, I think. But we've answered a lot of questions over the course of, how long did we stream again?
There's 150 comments in the thread.
Yeah, but like, you gotta count
my
the
stream's
hours
been
aren't
up
counted.
3 hours. 3 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay, so 3 hours.
By the
and
way,
40
you know you
minutes.
linked your FSAT username. That's not your actual username.
Not true. AMSatellite, I'm gonna have to say that.
Oh, I know. I mean, like, it's... I guess they have your account anyway.
Yeah, you have FSAT, but you're on real FSAT.
Yeah, it's the same.
It's not the
What do
same.
you,
is it?
I think
No,
I'm
it's
probably
not the
just
same.
I'm just gonna leave FSAT, honestly, because it's just, you know, it's obvious
Alright.
that it's me. And I'm gonna give my my channel, and then I'll leave your Twitch, because that's when you're gonna leave where you're gonna leave the VOD, I think. Or are you planning to?
I'll put it on YouTube, but it's gonna be on Twitch for now.
Okay, I see. So I'm gonna leave Twitch for now. For over the course of around 4 hours. If you have any if you have any other questions, actually post them here. Then I go a couple of lines forward, and I skip a couple of lines, and I'm gonna say VOD of the live answers will be posted on these channels for those who wish to see them. FSAT's YouTube and MarineRevenge. So hard to read. Actually, You okay with me writing MarineRevenge there, or should I just correct
It doesn't matter. It's
Okay. Which? Okay, so I'm gonna exchange that link for in favor of my channel's link. Dude, I'm so tired. 4 hours of streaming and it is so late. Okay, so we got that. I'll change the link to the actual VOD when I post it. And save. Keep a look on the thing just in case. I don't know why it's not giving me the list view though. I formatted it so that it's a list, but it doesn't show up like that. I wonder why. Oh well. Like, why is it doing this?
It's all good.
No, you see, it's not posting it as the, when I go forward, it doesn't do the listing, which it is supposed to do.
I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, true. All right, but yeah, thanks to everybody who watched, and again, huge thanks to Risti, Adam, and Marine for being here, for doing this. Like, we're a great team. We knew that, but I didn't. Honestly, we just got this going just so quickly. Yeah, this guy in Dog Styles on my chat, top 10 anime crossover. Marine, what do you think about this? Not real?
Marine loves anime.
Yeah.
Anime can eat dicks.
As much as he loves Gnar. Yeah, oh boy.
When you donate to my stream, you're donating to the Anime Isn't Real Fund.
All right. So yeah, thanks to everybody for their contribution, and I hope we do this again soon. Goodbye.
Peace.
See ya.
Bye.